Hi, this video is the summary of my last 20 years of financial journey of how I travel from a point of bankruptcy to a place where I can set myself on the path of retirement and financial independence. In this video, we will be mainly talking about the points like will you be ever be able to get out of this financial rat race where our salary act as a drug which keeps us on this loop forever. What is money? What is psychology of money? Do we need to really worry about it? Can it be planned? How to take control of our life, not finances. The main goal will be how to take control of our life using the financial tool. Will you be able to provide a head start to your kids' career where they don't have to worry about the finances, but they can choose whatever they like for their career? Is there any secret formula for making money? Is there any secret formula in the Wall Street or in your personal finance? Does job switching really helps your career or finances or your financial goal? How to decide when to buy home? What should be the maximum value which you should go for? How much saving you should have? How much should be your 401k, IRA, Roth IRA? And then we will be talking about when you start investing, what path you should explore: SIP, mutual fund, or fundamental investing, or technical analysis, trend following, or mean reversion, or sector rotation. There's tons of tools there. We will be mainly discussing about all the value investing and growth investing tool set as well. And then we will be discussing how we can use the options and future to give additional boost to our portfolio, additional boost to reach our financial goal sooner, and at the same time provide the hedge and reduce the risk of our portfolio. How can we give a statistical edge to our portfolio using the concepts of math and finances and the quants? Can you automate this entire framework? Can we create a system and put it to maybe an algo trading system and automate this entire framework so that we can enjoy our life and not worry about our finances? We should not be deploying all our time in managing the finances, but living our life. Now, it will also account to how we can start our self-employment firm where we can use our trading proprietary techniques to manage our portfolio, where you can employ your kids also for lots of tax advantages, and at the same time adding the entrepreneur skill set to your kids portfolio, and setting them on their path of millionaire. We will also be discussing how to make sense of all these vast amount of information. And that is the point. Right now in the world, we have lots and lots and lots of information. There is no scarcity of the information. The only point is how to make sense of it, how to bring them together and use it for your advantage. And that is where most of them, 99% of us, are lacking. We know one path of the financial domain, or we know second tool of the financial domain, but we don't know how to bring them together, how much we should work on it, how much we should concentrate on it, how to optimize it, and finally use it according to your own need. What I have done is I have prepared a PDF where I have listed the 13 steps of what should be our financial roadmap. And at each steps, there are some sub steps which we will be talking about. I will be also giving you the link of this PDF. You can download. Along with this PDF, we will also be going through the detail of each step, for which I have created a PPT with all the numbers and jargons and what should be your exact website to go, and all the concrete steps which you should be taking. So I will be providing that PDF and PPT both. So just to give you a high level idea of what we will be covering. So the very first step in this PPT will be studying, basically. I mean, just to gain the knowledge. That should be our very first step. Just to kickstart, I mean, have all the weapons in our tool set so that we can use it whenever we need. So those critical component which we will be studying, and then we will be going for understanding of personal finance, where we will be creating our basket, our small basket, and then that will be the basket which we will grow further. But in personal finance, at very high level, we will be discussing what you should do, which should take care of your financial start. And then we will go through how you should start investing, which is basically growing your basket. And then we will be going through our human behavior and psychology, because let me tell you, if out of all these, if you are really I mean, if you learn anything from all of my content today, then please make sure that human behavior and psychology is at your topmost priority, because this basically controls your all those other steps, because all those other steps are most of the time mechanical, but here is the thing which will be subjective and which in a way will be controlling your entire journey, no matter how much you know about any field in finance. But if you don't know this, I mean, you are in a way destined to fail. And then we will be moving to understanding the economy. Again, as I said, very high level, try to understand what happens in economy, how does it impact our job, how does it impact our all the aspect of mortgage and interest. And then we will be going towards measuring the economy. We know the economy, but how do we measure it? How do we use the measurement to our own advantage? And then we will be moving toward understanding different asset classes, because these are the one through which we will be achieving our financial goal. And then once we understand different classes, then we will be discussing what is fundamental analysis, how to use it as a tool set from our arsenal. And we will be moving to technical analysis. We will try to understand how important is it, does it even really work, or how can we align technical analysis with fundamental analysis and maybe have the best of both worlds. And then we will be moving towards options analysis and strategies. This is a vast domain, very complex, and that is why I said we will be starting with some of the study so that we can cover all these topics very comfortably. So we will be going through option analysis and strategy, and then we will try to understand how we can use these strategies to give ourselves an edge for a tail risk, or if there is any COVID-like situation, or 2008, 2000, how to handle all those kind of scenarios. And then very important, how we will be creating a system, because ultimately what we will learning in all these steps needs to be inculcated in a system. If we don't have a system, I mean, how much time you can dedicate? Because anyway, you will be working in your 9-to-5 job. You don't have all the time to spend on your financial planning. So we will be creating a system, and then we will be trying to automate that system so that you can enjoy your life and have fun with your family, do your job, and not worry about the finances. And then we will be talking about portfolio maintenance. So ultimately, all these knowledge which you will have, stocks, equities, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, all these will be on individual stocks. But we don't want individual stocks. We want to take care of our portfolio, which is a very altogether a different game, different academics. There is tons of research paper, white paper there. So we need to take advantage of those papers to understand how we can leverage all those education for our portfolio maintenance. And then again we will be looking at very high level algo trading, how we can use it, what are the tool set available. So these are the overall 13 steps which we will be discussing about. Once you have the understanding of all these at very high level, you will be very clear in your decision what you have to do, what home you have to buy, what car you have to buy, how much you have to put in 401k, when you should be planning for your job switch. So this will almost answer all of your question. So now we will start going through each of the steps or milestone in our financial roadmap. And just one more point before we dive in. So what I will request all of you to go through the entire video from first step to last step. What we actually want to capture from this discussion are not the formula or just any individual steps, because I can assure you, I can almost guarantee you that if you just concentrate on any one step, for example just technical analysis, or for example just economy, or for example just options, it will be of no use. What is most important here is to understand the overall concept of the finance domain. That mindset, the edge mindset which we are talking about, that mindset is your real edge. Any individual knowledge will not impact your financial goal or the alpha which we are generating from the market. So if you really want to take something out of this video, if you really want this to impact your life, I will request you to start from the first step and go through the last step. As I have already explained, all of you doesn't need to go from step 1 to step 13. Based on where you already stand in your financial journey, maybe you just need to cover step 1 to 3. You don't even need to implement all the steps till step 13 because you're already set yourself in. Some people might have to just go from step 1 to 6 because that's all they want. They want a very comfortable life, not worry about finances at all. Then they just go to step number 1 to 6 or step number 1 to 8. Someone who wants to really juice it up and put their effort, they can go from step number 1 to 13. But in any case, having an overall understanding of the market, of the economy is very, very important. Even though you will go from step number 1 to 3, the confidence that yes, I just need to go from step number 1 to 3, and if any black swan event occur, then how will you adjust your portfolio? For that, an overall understanding is very, very important. So please understand, here I'm trying to give you that mindset. I'm not trying to exactly give you the steps and then the formula and then put the number and then, because there are millions of videos out there, millions of books out there, but for sure, I mean, not all of those books are helping you. So here I'm trying to give you the mindset. If you have that mindset, then you will be able to take care of your finances without putting time on your finances, because then you can concentrate on your life, on your work, on what you really love doing. You can concentrate on that and just set your finances on a path where it will take care of itself on its own. Okay, so the very first step we will be discussing about is the key mathematical concept which will help you in all these analysis, and obviously math is the key part there. So let's start with the very first slide for our edge mindset portfolio. The very first slide is to to study the magic of compounding. Now, let me tell you, there will be almost no people in the world who doesn't know about compound interest. And let me also assure you, there is hardly 1 to 2% or 5% of the people in the world who really understand the magic of compounding. I mean, how ironical is that? So, the point which I'm trying to put forward is that we need to understand the hidden meaning of the compound interest, not the formula. You can watch hundreds of video on that one everywhere, but what I'm trying to tell you here is the hidden meaning, the lens of the edge mindset using which you should be looking at compound interest. Compound interest can set you on your financial path on its own. I mean, even if you don't study everything, just apply a simple magic of compounding and you should be good on your own. Another point in the compound interest is I want to introduce the concept of instant gratification and delayed gratification. The reason why most of us do not understand the real meaning of compound interest is because of the hardwiring inside us. We human has been trained for instant gratification. Over all our evolution through the ages of dinosaur, then chimpanzee, and then all those cycles, we were trained to instantly gain access to the food. If someone tries to attack us, we instantly have to defend ourselves. So that is the instant gratification. The whole hardwiring in our brain is based on that. We are not able to exactly see what lies ahead if you do not put an extra effort in that direction, which is the delayed gratification. We many times, for example, especially kids, they just start their study and they do not see clearly where they will fall in which industry, in which domain, how should prepare themselves. So it's very hard to vision that, and the human mind is not hardwired for that. But yes, I mean, if we train our mind for that, then yes, we will be able to go in that direction. And the compound interest is the same thing. The compound interest is the delayed gratification. It will not give you instantly the result whatever you want, but if you really trust in it, if you plan it, if you have that vision, then the result will be coming to you. And that is why most of us, we all know the formula of compound interest, but we never really start utilizing it. In fact, this is irony. In fact, we start utilizing compound interest as our enemy. If you look at your all the financial behavior, taking mortgage, taking credit card, spending lots of money on credit card, taking car, all these are instant gratification where we are putting compound interest as our enemy. Somebody else is using that, some big firm, some big capitalist is using that compound interest tool against us because we are falling in that instant gratification bucket. But there are very few people who envision this, who plan a product around it and they put it in the market and we fall prey to it. So that is a concept I really wanted to put across, and this itself will give you that edge mindset. And try to think about it. Think all about your finances. If you want to just pause here, come back to the video after even 1 hour or come tomorrow. But please take time, try to understand how compound interest is impacting you. Now, what I will do is I will just put across a very small example of how to play with the compound interest. So what I will do is I will, let's say, plan a very simple uh, uh, a saving mechanism, and then how anyone should invest it so that you get a lump sum ahead. Again, I mean, this is very subjective. It is actually very interesting. You can take these tool, you can play with it. Every person has a different financial need, they are in different financial situation, but here I will just be taking a two example of at very extreme, a person who is just trying to who is at lower end of the income and just trying to save something, and then we will discuss about someone who is very comfortable having a very handsome salary, and then how they should go ahead with the compound interest. So uh, so let's say you are a person at age of 25, having a salary of let's say $60,000. Even if you start with $2,000 as principal, $2,000 as monthly deposit, and have an interest of 12%, then in 20 years you will be able to accumulate $2 million, which is at the age of 45. I know there will be few points which will be alarming to you right now. How can I save $2,000? How can I earn 12%? All these things we will be talking about further. But right now, I just want to put this in your mind that whatever your salary is, I mean, even if it is in a very comfortable range, in nowadays 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 salary range, and if you are able to save 2,000 per month, 12%, just in 20 years, you will be able to accumulate $2 million. If you are at the age of 25, by the age of 45, you can be done with your work. Now you can start doing what you love. If you love software engineering, work in that domain. If you love painting, work in that domain. But after this 25 to 45, you no more need to work forcibly on something which you don't want. So this is 45, and then let's say you have 30 year more to live, or even 50 year more to live, and you are starting with 2 million of capital. If you plan your investment strategy where you can earn 12% consistently, then you can start your salary as $150,000. At the age of 45, you can start withdrawing 150,000 every month, and you can live forever. Forever. The money will never dry up. That is the point. The money will never dry up. You can start extracting a little bit more also, and it will keep increasing. The main point here is this 12%. If you can strategize your strategy, if you can learn those activities which will give you 12% consistently, at the age of 45 you have $2 million, 12%, and you can live forever without working for money. I'm not talking about financial independence or retirement. I'm just talking about after 45, you need not work for money. If you just want to travel and enjoy different country, then just do that. If you just want to do painting, just do that. But you don't have to work for money. If you want to work in any, I mean, let's say you just want to study about planets or solar system, then just do that. Don't, and you will not get money from that, but the money will be coming from somewhere else. So that's the plan, and this is at the lowest extreme which I was talking about. And again, I mean, there will be a few people who will be below that range, who are, let's say, in the range of $40,000 per year, and they are in debt also. For that, we will be coming to the next chapter, where we will be discussing about your personal finances and how to take care of it. But I mean, this is an average standard $60,000 to $70,000 annual income person. Save $2,000 every month, retire by 45, and then live forever, and your money will keep growing. So maybe, so see, if you are 45, by the age of 75, you will be having almost $11 million, even though you are taking 150,000 inflation adjusted every month. Okay. So now let's say, if there is a person who is having a salary of, let's say, $150,000, $250,000, $300, $400,000. So those people, if they really start planning their finances, this is so easy for them. If they use the magic of compounding, if they use the time in their favor, and again, time is very important here. I'm talking about someone who is starting at the age of 25. They can easily retire at the age of 45. If you are starting at the age of 35, you can easily retire at the age of 55. Now again, I don't want to go in different combination. There are millions such combinations. Please use your financial situation to calculate that. But let's say if you have a salary of maybe 300,000, or let's say start with 150,000. If you can save $5,000 per month, 12%, 20-year, your final balance is $5 million. $5 million. That's right. And from that $5 million, if you retire at the age of 45, maybe I should not use the word retire. I mean, do whatever you want. Don't work for money. Whatever you want. If you want to just do anything, just do anything. So if you start at the age of 45, $5 million in your bank account, 12% return, you can start your annual salary at $400,000. At inflation adjusted, you keep taking out the money, and your money will never end. Your money will annually increase. By the age of 65, you are in the range of 15 million. By the age of 75, you are in the range of 22 million, and it will keep increasing. That is the point. So the major point here is, you need to use the time in your favor. You need to really start at the age of 25 or 35 or 30. That is the only part. That is the hardest part. If you just start at the age of 35, done. And then we will talk about 12%, how to get the 12%, or even better, or even less, or maybe you don't want 12%, because see, I mean, you are getting an output of 400,000. Maybe you don't want that kind of money to live a comfortable and happy life. Maybe you want only 150,000 or 250,000. Then you don't want. Then you don't need a return of 12%. So that's the point. So coming back to our study. So we will be. I hope by now we understood the magic of compounding. Please go ahead and play with those links. I have given everything in my PDF and PPT. The next thing I will urge everyone to understand is the theory of probability. And again, this theory of probability, the statistics, having a fair understanding of the distribution, the probability distribution, all these things tie up to our instant gratification and delayed gratification. We are not hardwired to understand these things. Mathematically, we can understand. We all have studied in our grade 5, 10. But implementing it in our real life, this is hard, because our mind is not tuned for that. We are tuned for instant gratification. 5 plus 4 equal to 9. That's all. In our real life, in your academic life, you must have done lots of differentiation, integration, and then written many papers also. But in your real life, applying these simple concepts in your app, in your investment strategies, in your planning, is not that easy. I mean, of course, so many people are doing, but it's not that easy. So what I will request is to try to understand the theory of probability, how the probability impacts your investing. I mean, have some sense of it. Go through it. I mean, go through the few of the principles in probability. Try to understand the basic statistics. What is standard deviation? So when you will be investing your money, you need to understand what is the standard deviation of the asset in which you are investing, because you need to know how much up and down it will go, what will be the volatility. That, because again, we will be talking about this thing in detail. I'm maybe going ahead of myself, but you need to find a way for the consistent return with the least volatility, and all the Sharpe ratio and everything we will be discussing. But if you understand the standard deviation, what is the meaning of the variance, what is the meaning of sample population? If some financial advisor tell you, look at this year and this mutual fund has given 20% of return, invest in it, and you say, wow, this mutual fund is really good, and you invest in it. Why? Sample population. If you understand the concept of sample population, you will understand they are talking about one example out of the entire history. There is a very high chance that it will not repeat in future, very high chance, and very low chance that it will be almost similar to that. So again, the more knowledge you have, the better you will understand the world. So my request here is to understand all these concepts. Basic statistics, especially the point which I have mentioned here, standard deviation, variance, sample population, and then the normal distribution. So anything in our world, any event which happens, it aligns to a distribution. Sometimes it aligns to a normal distribution, which is again a bell curve. I don't want to go into detail. Please go ahead and do a little bit of research and learn it, because this will really impact your life. I mean, your life is based on it. You have done so much of study for your career and all, but please concentrate on these concepts for your financial goals. So if you understand how these events are distributed, it is a normal distribution, it's a binomial distribution. If it is a normal, then what happened? What should be the standard deviation? Where you should plan your black swan? What is the tail risk in your investment path? So all those needs to be taken care of. So that's part one, which is study. If you complete that, then let's jump to our next chapter, step 2. Okay, step 2, personal finance. Very personal, very, very personal. And no matter how much other person will tell you, it is very, very hard to change your behavior. It's very, very hard to turn your direction of what you are following for last 25 year or 35 year based on your age. So we really need to understand that if we need to get to a goal, then we need to start sacrificing at the start, and that's all the personal part there is. You need to assess where you stand and you need to sacrifice. That is the only way. There's no shortcut. I will be discussing lots of investing tricks and strategies and phenomenon and research papers. There is nothing which will trump your personal finance. There are so many books out there, so many gurus out there. They will tell you, you do this, you will be millionaire, you do invest in crypto, you will be millionaire. Nothing works. Let me break that bubble. Nothing works consistently. Yes, few people might be, but again, if you have studied the our first chapter thing for your sample distribution and all, then you must be understanding it very clearly now, that what they are going to explain might be applicable for few person, but we want to do something where there is a very high probability of getting that result, so those things will not work. So nobody is coming to save you, give you a magic wand. There needs to be a sacrifice, and that is very, very personal. So again, I will not go in very detail. Use your judgment, and these are the very high level steps which you should inculcate in your personal finance. Save at least 40% of your income. Hard, very hard. uh, so much of inflation, the rent is so much, but you need to find a way. There are so many books, so many other, Ramit Sethi, I will teach you to get rich, I guess, and then Dave Ramji. There are so many good education there. Read it, do whatever you can. You need to save 40%, because just go back to my magic of compounding. If you can save, then that is all what you need. Just start at the right point, save, put it there, 12%, and you are done. This is something which will take care of all the problem in your life. All the problem. How much you will spend on your kid education, where you will live, how happy your family will be, how stressful your family will be, everything depends on this. So this needs to be taken care of. You need to save 40%. There is no way around it. And I can keep going over this, but my baseline here is there is no way around it. You go search, find, just go vendor, but there is no way. You need to come back, you need to start saving. There is no way around it. Save 40%. If more, wonderful. And then there are very basic and high level steps which I have written here, which is kind of a summary of all the personal finance book you read. You can read tons of book, but these are the basic summary. If you learn these 4 things, implement it, no need to read all those personal finance book. This is mainly what they are talking about. Pay your high interest debt, credit card, education loan, consolidate it, make a plan, pay it down. Okay, and I want to just repeat the same line. There is no strategy out there which will save you out of this. This needs to be done. Pay your high interest debt, start saving 40% of your income. And then again, there are so many things in personal finance, vacation, eating out, blah blah blah. I will talk only about the major ticket item. Home. Make a very wise decision before buying the home. Don't splurge all your money on that. Find out what is your net worth, and based on that only buy the home. The banks which are giving you the estimate you can afford that much, that's not your affordability criteria. That is the affordability criteria from the capitalism perspective. There are banks which are sitting there to make profit out of you, and in that capitalistic behavior, they are able to juice that much amount out of you. That's their limit. That's not your limit for what you can afford your home. That's not right. You need to come down. So if you can take care of your home expense, how much you are spending on your home, how much is your mortgage, if you can do it very lightly, then you can take care of many another thing. You can vacation, you can go for vacation leisurely. You can send your kids for a better education. You can have good amount of your lifestyle in your home. You can have good amount of interior, expensive amount of interior. So lots of things can be done if you just manage your home. Manage your home, I mean, scale it down a little bit, especially scale it down from what the bank is telling you to. Now, uh, a very high level kind of estimate. I will try to go through one of the link, which and the link is also given there. You can go there and try to have a understanding. But this is what you should follow. You should. You are not required to, but you should. Again, as I said, this whole thing is about the edge mindset. I mean, use your mind differently from others. And based on that, take your judgment, and don't go with the exact number here, but this is the guideline that based on which you should buy your home. So your home value should be less than 3 times your annual salary. If you make 100,000, try to restrict yourself to 300,000 of home. 300,000, 350,000, 400,000, 270,000. Again, this is your judgment. Use your edge mindset understanding here, but 300,000 should be your mark. Another criteria is your home value should be 1/3 of your net worth. If your net worth is $1 million, then you should be buying a house of 333,000. I know this is very harsh, this is very conservative, I know, but that's the rule. I mean, if you really, because this is taking in account all the black swan event which can occur in future, everything which can go wrong in future, and if you really have to adjust yourself according to that, you should buy 1/3 of your net worth. But again, you don't have to really follow it. Go a little bit down, but make sure your net worth is of substantial amount compared to your house. But this is what they are suggesting. I am also a good follower, this one, good advisor on this. But then take your judgment from here. Harsh, I know, given the situation, the current situation in the market, the inflation and the interest rate, this is hard to go through this. But that's why this whole video is being made, so that you are not trapped in that rabbit hole of middle class, where you or the entire capitalist society keep juicing money out of you for the entire life. If you plan it ahead correctly, then after some year you can get out of that trap. But if you just get stuck and you have a salary of 150,000, you buy a $1 million house, done. You are there, you are trapped in that lifestyle. You will never downsize it because you are now accustomed to it, and anything which go wrong in future will impact you very harshly. The education of your kid, vacation, whatever you do, everything will be related to that mortgage payment. Because out of your entire salary, if you are giving 50%, 60% in your mortgage, then you are trapped. So very big request, please look at your mortgage. If needed, if you have not bought the house, plan for it accordingly. If you have bought the house, try to take some corrective measure. What to do? It's your personal finance here. Use your personal judgment. But these are the guidelines. These are the guidelines which will set you in the path of freedom. Very important. Again, another thing, in your personal finance, I think this is the easiest thing to do. Get a term insurance sufficient enough to cover your future big expense. Get a term insurance. I mean, this is as simple as that. To make it more simple, to avoid any confusion, there are so many type of insurance product out there. uh, you some are insurance plus investment, tons of you will tons of annuity program. Just, I mean, if you are just starting, if you do not understand those things, you are just starting to take care of finances, don't go there. Take a term life insurance. If your salary is in the range of 100,000, take a term life insurance of $1 million. I mean, do it today, do it, and then, I mean, if just by doing this thing, you will be ahead of so many people in the US or in the world. Take a term life insurance. This is the easiest thing you can do it. Trust me. Out of all these discussions which we are going to do, this is the easiest. Take a term life insurance and keep yourself away from all other insurance product. I know there are some are good, some might be good, some are currently good. In future, there's so many of complexity. Just be away from it. I'm telling you. There are so many things to worry about in your life. There are so many things which you learn. You can do investment on your own. But if you are really that lazy, that you don't want to do anything else, just then maybe you can go ahead with the insurance plus investment product. But if you really want to make it simple, please take a term insurance. I'm sorry, I'm spending a little bit more time on this point, but please try to understand. If you take care of these, I mean, your life is set. You have worked so hard to build this life. You have gone to colleges, you have done lots of immigration, lots of struggle days, and all for your life. And right now, this is the time to strategize that life. So these things needs to be taken care of. And these are so easy. I mean, it's just that somebody needs to tell you that this needs to be done, which I didn't get that opportunity. Nobody told me that these are the steps you follow and then you should be away from the maybe 100% of the stress in your life. And that is true. Okay, so that's your personal finance. Home, please take care of it. Now we will move to third step. Now, step 3, start investing. That's my forte. Now we will be talking. Step 1 taken care of. Step 2 taken care of, which were very hard. Now step 3, start investing. So big domain, such a big domain. I found it very hard to strategize all the steps. And when I was preparing this material, it was very hard where to start with. How any new person who doesn't want to just live in their finances, who doesn't want to work so hard in understanding all this material, what are the steps they should do so that they are doing the right thing in right direction. And these are the steps which we will be talking about. So but when you start investing, there will be many complex strategies and steps we will be talking, but this is very basic. Everybody needs to do that. Everybody in America, everybody in India, everybody in Australia, wherever you are, you need to do this. Whatever is the, maybe in your country the terms are changing. Here I'm talking about 401k. Maybe in India it is something like PF fund. In Australia it is something else, but there must be something. Match your 401k. Contribute to your HSA. Max out 401k contributions. Contribute to your IRA and Roth IRA, backdoor Roth IRA, and then start investing in your low fee index passive investment, which can be Ray Dalio all-weather portfolio. Now, again, each line is a massive one. Let me break it down in a very simple manner. If you really start reading about it, there is tons of books written on each one of those. What is IRA? What is Roth IRA? 401k, HSA? What I will say is, don't burden your mind with all of those. Just don't. These are very simple tools which has been created. If you go into the detail, you can keep reading, but you just follow a simple protocol, a simple waterfall method, and keep contributing in that, no matter what your life situation is. I mean, this is the step which is almost non-subjective. This is very objective. Everybody, I'm talking about everyone's finances. The personal finance was different, and depend on what is your psychology, we will choose fundamental, technical, or some another method, but this is very subjective. Everybody needs to do that. And what needs to be done? This is the waterfall method, which again I have taken from this link. The link is there. This is the way you should be starting with. Get your 401k match, whatever your employer matching, at least contribute that. If you are comfortable in saving little bit of more money, then start paying off your interest debt, high interest debt, which we have just discussed. If you have money left, start putting in your HSA. HSA is a triple edged sword, where we are saving tax 3 times, which otherwise you would pay in your real consumption. So there you will be saving this. So start putting in your HSA. If you still have comfortable amount of money left, max out the 401k, which is I think this year 22,000 or 23,000 something. If that is done, then start your backdoor Roth IRA. Don't get confused by backdoor or Roth. Just go start your IRA. Just go. Once you start, don't think that I don't know Roth, I don't know backdoor, or what if I do something wrong. There will be nothing wrong. Start putting in IRA, start putting in Roth IRA, and then if you have still money left, then start your brokerage account. And then it is talking about another investment vehicle like real estate. And then if you still have money, lots of money, then just pay off your mortgage. But again, these steps we will not be talking about. But at least once you are done with your 401k, HSA, IRA and traditional IRA, start your taxable brokerage account. And in that brokerage account, just buy a simple index fund. Which index fund? This is a very complex method. If you go inside it, there is tons of academics, there is tons of PhD research paper written on it, which debt or equities, what should be the percentage of it, what should be the PE, what should be the diversification. There is tons of it. If you go down, you will just keep going down. But we are here to enjoy our life. We don't want to worry about these things. So just go with Ray Dalio all weather portfolio. Just do a Google. You will get a name of 3 ETF. Invest in it. And done. If you have followed step number 2, step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3, you are done. I mean, you are set. You are set for your life. These are, however, we are talking about finances, but these are the steps. If you do, you don't have to ever talk about your finances. You just don't have to talk about your finances. This is so ironical. We are talking about the finances so that we don't have to worry about our finances ever in your life. Do this step number 1, 2, and 3, and then you are set. I really want to repeat it again. You are set. You will be ahead of 95% of the people on this planet. Almost all of them, all 95% of them have not followed this education, have not understood the magic of compound interest, have not planned how much they will work when they will financially retire. They have not at all planned their term life insurance. They have not planned their mortgage properly, and they have not planned their investment properly. If you do this, just do this. I mean, you can. I have my friends and few family member asking me, what should we do? What should we do? This is very simple. If you do step number 1, 2, and 3, you are done. If you keep studying about it, I request you, I welcome you to study, because the more you understand, the better you will implement it. Knowledge is everything. This is my like motto, or my line which I follow in my life. Knowledge is everything. Keep studying about anything which you want, or which you like. If you like this thing, keep studying. You will even understand it better. That if you implemented ray dalio, why I implemented ray dalio. I invested in bought a term life insurance. Why term life insurance, not other? But till the time you will read and study and spend your next few years, just do these steps first and then keep reading it, and then you will understand how and why it was implemented. But do it as soon as possible, and then you will be set. Should I stop it here, or you are convinced that you have done it? Okay, I take it, I assume you all have understand it, and then we will be going forward now from here, because we are now changing our gears. We are jumping into the world of investing, trading, hedging, portfolio, and lots of things. And then let's discuss about it. Step number 4. Okay, step number 4. Human behavior and psychology. Human behavior and psychology. Why we are talking about it? We are talking about it because from this point on, when we will be jumping into the world of investing, trading, hedging, these aspects of our upbringing will impact the return out of those very significantly. The most of the point which I talked till now, step number 1, 2, and 3, to a larger extent, they were objective. If you just follow that, you can, if you just manage your own finances, you can decide the best house for your net worth, you can follow the term life insurance. All those things are very objective. You can do that. But from now on, you will be trying to juice more out of the your investment, your portfolio. So there are trillions of number of ways in which we can do that. You can buy something right now, you can sell something right now, you can then sort, you can then again buy it back. There will be tons of strategies we will be discussing. But which strategy to implement at what point of time, which strategy needs to be modified at what point of time, these steps are very, very personal and very, very subjective. No matter who gives you investment decision, who gives you the trading technique, even if Warren Buffett sit beside you, tell you something to buy, it will not make you money, because Warren Buffett will not just keep sitting beside you for the entire life. Once Warren Buffett is gone, you will take your own decision. Should I buy it? Should I add more? Should I sell less? Should I get rid of it? There will be trillions of pathways from there. So no matter which strategy you follow, no matter momentum trading or growth investing, whatever you follow, if you are not clear on your psychology, those strategies, those trading mechanism will not work. So if you are spending I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but if you are spending too much time learning momentum indicator or moving averages or deciding the stop loss and all those things, stop, come back, work on your psychology, understand what you are trying to do, understand what is the overall probability of your strategy, and based on that take your decision. So based on that, let's start with our human behavior. and psychology. So these are the different biases which our mind has. Few of them I have listed here: heuristic biases, cognitive biases, herding behavior, Dunning-Kruger effect, sunk cost fallacy, anchoring biases, availability biases. So these are different types. If you understand the classes and object, if you are from software background, these are the different object of one particular class, which I already have talked about, which is instant gratification and delayed gratification. And as I have explained, our mind is hardwired to do something which aligns to instant gratification. We don't want to go through delayed gratification. Something in future, if there is something in future, I don't want to know what I will get in future. I just want it to be get done now and here. And these are the types of biases which develops out of it. If we are clear about it, okay, these are the type of the biases, then when we will be actually trading, actually putting our investment, then we will be at least be aware of it and take an informed decision. Now, let me give you a very high level mathematical implementation of this instant gratification and delayed gratification. So let x be a random variable. Then this is a very famous equation. I think this was the Bernoulli's theorem. This is from the Bernoulli's theorem. Who invented this formula to calculate the expected value of a random variable? And this was invented sometime, I think, in 18th century. Again, please fact check me. I might be wrong. And I'm sorry about that. But I'm just trying to quote it from there, that if there is a x random variable, then the expected value of that random variable can be calculated by summing up the outcome value times the probability of that value. The value of the variable and the probability of that variable. Multiply this and do sum all such values, and that give you the expected outcome of a variable. And this applies everywhere. This is what our mind cannot do. This is so unintuitive. And that is the delayed gratification. When we have to accept something, if let's say, if we do this experiment in child also, that you want 1 chocolate today or you want 3 chocolate after 5 days or tomorrow, they always pick the first one because that's the instantly, but you are getting only 1 chocolate. The expected value is just 1 chocolate. But if you calculate the probability of all the expected value of all the outcome in future, then in this case you are getting 2 chocolate and the probability there is 100%. They are promising you that you will get the 2 chocolate. That is better than 1. Now again, if you're hungry, then obviously the first one is better, but I'm giving you a concept here. So we always try to pick the easiest solution which is in front of us. We do not calculate all the possible outcome, and we do not calculate the probability of all the outcome. Do not multiply them and then do the summation and then have an intuition in our mind, then that is a better solution. We don't do that in our life. So if I have to give you some example of it, so for example, if there is a coin, you toss it 10 times. What is the probability of overall getting 5 heads? If you think about it, maybe you will find the right answer in a go. But if you just give a very intuitive thought, maybe you will say, toss it 10 times and getting head 5 times. Maybe 50% of the chances. But if you calculate through Bernoulli theorem, it will be different. Another example is, for example, if I ask you, are there more 4-letter English word with R in 3rd place or in 1st place? Think about it. And if you are an average person, then most probably your answer will be there are more words which are starting with R, more four letter word which are starting with R compared to the more four letter which are having R at the third place. Why? Because our mind is hardwired for instant gratification. We go through all our vocabulary and all the words starting with R are instantly available for us. We immediately get it and tell that is the answer. But our mind is not intuitively calculating all the possible values, checking the probability of that, and then calculating the sum. So that's why our mind immediately says that the word starting with 4 are large in numbers. Another example is, let's say there is a jewelry which was selling for $100 last month, and you always wanted to buy that jewelry, and this month this is at $70. Will you buy it? The answer most probably will be yes. But what if I tell you that this is the same jewelry which was $100 last month, and right now this is available for $70 discount, but your friend tell you that just yesterday he bought it for $50 because it was available at further discount yesterday, but today it is available at $70. Will you buy it? Most probably no. What happened here? The outcome is same. We are going to buy that $70 jewelry which was at $100, which we always wanted, but our behavior changed. The mathematics and everything is same, but our behavior changes here because now we are anchored to the availability of the information that it was available at $50. That is the instant anchoring, instant gratification anchoring to that point. We are not checking the entire availability that it was earlier available for $100, now it is available for $70. Should I buy it? Yes, I wanted it all the time, then I should go for it. So that's, and all these things will very closely relate to investing and all those strategies which we'll be talking about soon. Then there are heuristic biases. We always try to choose familiar brands even though there are better options. Why? Because instantly we are linked to them. We don't want to just explore, even though we know for the same amount of money we will get the better option. We don't do that. Cognitive biases. Obviously, when we are stressed, we make worse decision. I need not explain further about it. We all are stressed people in our life. So many stress, so many problems. Herding behavior. Everybody at the party is wearing jeans, so I will too. So we are trying to align with them. This will be coming very handy when we will discussing the technical analysis and the trend following. So that's the herding behavior. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less I know about a topic, the more confident I sound. There is a very famous study done by this person, Dunning-Kruger. They basically plotted the graph of how much confident we are when we start learning about a topic. And the graph goes like, when you start learning, then it goes all of a sudden spike. Then usually you're so confident, which is called half knowledge is too dangerous. And then once you start learning more about it, then you start feeling, oh, there is more to it. And then you start getting humble. And then you come down, and then you keep studying, and the confidence goes up, but not very high, because the more education you get, you become more humbled. You never get that arrogant attitude that now I know everything. You become more humble that, oh my God, there was so much into it. And now, okay, at least I understand this much about it. All these things will apply to our trading behavior and statistics. Because there are there are lots of people who learns about the moving average up and down, and they start immediately because they are so confident that now they will change the world, because some guru has told them that follow this moving average system and then you will make lots of money. Sunk cost fallacy. This is where, for example, I keep pouring money into my car repair because I have already invested so much in it. You get attached to something because that is just right now in front of you. You instantly get attached. That's instant gratification. If you buy a stock, it goes down, you feel so sad why it went down, and then you get attached, and then you try to do something which ultimately make you bring you bad result. So there will be situation where you just buy the stock and there is something wrong, that you should get out of it, and there are so many options in the market, you should go there instead of just going into that rabbit hole. So that is the sunk cost fallacy. Anchoring behavior, the salesperson started at high price, and that when they offer low price, you feel it's good because now it is not anchored to that. So same thing will apply to our trading, where we will anchor ourselves that okay, Tesla was for $150. Now if it is more, then I should not buy it. If it is less, then I should, I mean, all those things. But you anchor yourself because you are instantly related to that. So don't do that. Look at it from a as mindset, at a from a big picture perspective, and then you will get the right output or right decision. Availability bias, same thing. I see news stories about plane crashes often, so I think flying is more dangerous than driving. But in reality, driving accidents are more frequent and more, the probability is more compared to when you fly. Why did it happen? Same thing, instant gratification, because we have seen the news, we have seen people talking about it. So instantly our mind aligned to it. Our mind doesn't have that capability to check the probability of all possible event and then take a decision. So these are some hardwire in our mind. Same thing will apply into our investing. If somebody is talking about Tesla, 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 Tesla with you, you will feel there is only Tesla in the world. There is no any another good investing opportunity. So these are the biases, at least, which I want you to be aware of, because they will play a major role in your investment journey. But if I have to summarize everything, just one line: instant gratification and delayed gratification. Most of the time, delayed gratifications are better. Sometimes instant gratifications are also better. So for example, if you are hungry and if you have a chocolate being offered, just eat it. But if you are planning for the future, plan properly, plan ahead. That concludes step number 4. Now we will be moving to step number 5. Okay, so now we will be talking about the 5th step, which is understanding our economy. Now, economy obviously is the main thing on which in which we will be putting our investment, or whatever trading which we will be doing. All those asset class are inside that economy. So it's important to understand how this economy works, at what stage, what are the dynamics within this economy. So at a very high level, we will be going through that. Again, you don't have to be Amartya Sen or any PhD in economy. But just in layman terms, we will try to understand whatever is needed for our purpose, which is investing here. So at high level, we will be going through economic cycle. What are the phases of the economic cycle? Relation between inflation and interest rate, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, how they are related, role of the Fed and what are its mandate, relation between Fed and Treasury, yield curve, a very high level understanding of yield curve if you will be investing in bond, and so and then we need to understand what is quantitative easing and the quantitative tightening. Okay, so when we are trying to understand the economy, the important point which I want to send across to all of you is that economy progresses in cycle. How? We will be discussing. So the very core part of the economy and how economy grows is all about productivity. Over the period there had been multiple invention, multiple technological advancement, and based on that our productivity increases year by year, and uh, that is the core principle on which we all work as a humankind. We always try to progress further, bring some new technology, make things better for everyone. So because of that there is an element in our economy that keeps growing, that productivity growth. But if there is a segment where the productivity is not growing, then that segment will basically decline from there and will not play a major part in the economy advancement. So that's the core of our economy, and then on top of that there is short-term debt cycle and long-term debt cycle. So if you try to understand all these industry or all these company which are in that economy needs investment, cash investment, in order to launch their business, in order to grow their business. So that is one of the most important requirement for the entire all the industry everywhere in the world. So where they get the investment from? They get it from the debt, and all those debt has a price, which is the interest rate. Based on that interest rate they get that debt, and then once they are able to pay, they pay it back. But the overall demand of that debt from the entire economy keeps growing and coming back based on the demand and supply of the debt. So if there is lots of demand, the interest rate will increase. If there is lots of supply, then the interest rate will decrease. Based on that, uh, we have this short-term debt cycle, which goes anywhere around, you can say, 5 year to 10 year of cycle. And then there is a long-term debt cycle which happens in maybe 50 to 70 years, where in long-term debt cycle what happened, there is a big phenomenon shift in the market of debt. So because of the consistent increase of the productivity, there is a consistent increase in the demand of the debt, and there is a consistent increase in the interest rate as well, which converts into inflation. And that inflation is sustained, and we will just be talking about how Fed also plays its mandate and maintain the inflation in the economy. So based on that, the inflation keeps rising, and then there is a time in the lifespan of any economy, any country, that inflation becomes unbearable. That currency of that country or that kingdom loses lots of money, lots of value, sorry. And because of that there is a big decline in that value, and that reflects into a big drop in the economy, and that drop creates that long-term debt cycle which we are able to see here. Now again, this thing has been taken from Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio, again, if you don't know, he is the pioneer in understanding this economic cycle and how you should invest in any economy. I will urge you all to go to that YouTube channel for Ray Dalio and try to watch this video. This will really clear things up for you. But again, just here at very high level, what I'm trying to send across to all of you, that our economy follows a cycle. However, at the core there is a consistent productivity growth, and because of that our economy grows. But that gets on that there is an overlap of short term and the long term debt cycle, and because of that we can see four phases in our economy, which is expansion, peak, contraction, and then the recovery starts. And based on this expansion and contraction, and at which point you currently stand in the economy, it will it will largely impact your investment and the return on your investment as well. Different sector perform differently at different phases of the economy. So if you are a investor who takes the advantage of sector rotation, it becomes very key for you to understand where we are in the economy. But if you try to if you are a passive investor, you are not that worried about your investment and you are looking at a very long term, then you should be looking at this line. And this long term here is not 2 year, 3 year, maybe this long term is, let's say, for 10 to 15 years. In that span, there is a core perpetual element of productivity growth. So you can rely on that, and based on that, you can do your investment. So now, when this economy expand or contract, at that point of time, the government and Fed has to play a major role. Because if they do not, then if our economy is expanding, it will keep expanding in that direction, and there will be so much of inflation that a big downfall will happen. But when it in another case, when it is going down in a contraction phase, if government or Fed doesn't intervene, it will keep going down, 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 and there will be shutdown of industry, and the people will be laid off. Further, the consumption power will go down, and that will again go into loop, and there will be, I mean, it will be a bad time. Let's not go there. So that is why our government and Fed had to intervene in those circumstances to bring the economy back into this line, and uh, support our industry at some time, or support our population sometime by fluctuating a few of the key knobs what Fed and government has, which we will be just discussing in few moments. But before going to that slide, let's try to understand what does the Fed do. So that I have already explained you that it intervenes in those expansion and contraction phases. But how does Fed decide when it has to do those activities? So what Fed does is that it follows its two mandate. The two mandate, as shown in this picture for Fed, is that Fed has to maintain the maximum employment in the entire economy, and it also has to maintain the price stability. This means price stability mainly means inflation, and the max employment converts into the maintaining of the unemployment rate. And each of those are at opposite side of the balances. If you concentrate too much on generating 100% employment, then what happens is there will be lots of money circulation in the economy, there will be lots of consumption in the economy, and then the prices of everything will increase. And because of that price increase, and the inflation will happen, and because of that inflation, maybe the upper middle class or the higher class doesn't get impacted, but the socio-economy strata, the people who are at the lower middle class, or even at the regular middle class, or in the low income group, gets impacted a lot. So that is why the government also has to maintain the price stability, which is the inflation. The price of everything should not grow at a higher pace. So at high level, you can just understand that when economy expand too much, the Fed does the quantitative tightening. It says that don't go that far, you need to come back to our central line. And when it goes very in the trough area because of the recession and contraction, at that time the Fed does the quantitative easing. Easing is it relaxes some of the key terms, because of which the market uh, takes the breathe of sigh, and then it comes back to the central line. So that's all there is. If you want to understand at very high level, here there is quantitative tightening and here there is quantitative easing. Okay, so now in this slide we will be looking at quantitative easing and then what is fiscal and monetary policy. So quantitative easing is basically the Fed tool to jumpstart the economy by buying bond. So because interest rate has risen so much, industry finds it very hard to get the debt and then grow from there. So that is why at this point the Fed comes in the picture and tries to jumpstart the economy by buying bond. Now, what is bond? Bond is basically a debt we give to the government. Government issues the bond to the banks, and the Fed can buy those bond from the bank. Fed doesn't buy it directly from the government. That's not in the law. Fed can buy it from the bank. Now, when Fed will buy it from the bank, it has to it has to inject money. It has to give money in return to the bank. So when they give money to all the bank, lots of money comes into the circulation, and because of that, the interest rate decline. Why? Because there is so much of money in circulation. Now there's so much of supply. So now the interest rate goes down. When it goes down, it becomes cheaper for borrowing and investing. Cheaper for borrowing means the consumer can now, maybe with, if they were planning to buy a car, because now the interest rate is down, they can buy the car, so there will be demand for the car. And cheaper to invest means when the car industry have had debt which can be served at very low interest rate, they will take that money and produce more car. So this is the way the economy will kickstart. So that is how this overall quantitative easing work. And very recently this has been used in our 2008 and 9 financial crisis and during our 2020 COVID cycle. Now the quantitative tightening is the very reverse of it. There are so many nuances inside it, but as a just from investing perspective at the moment, we do not need to go in very detail of it. But quantitative tightening basically is the reverse of it, where Fed sell the bonds back to the bank and takes the money out of that, and then which increases the interest rate, and then the borrowing and investing reduces a little bit. So if the economy is growing very fast, it will come down. There is another aspect of Fed reserve ratio, which is at high level. The each of the bank put a ratio of their entire asset into with Fed, and that ratio is relaxed or tightened, or sometimes it is eased based on how much money Fed wants to be in circulation in the economy. If they want more money to be in the circulation, it eases that rule. If they want less money in the circulation, it tightens the rule. So basically they want more ratio of that asset to be preserved with Fed. So these are the rules or tool using which Fed maintains it to mandate of maximum employment and price stability. Now, what is the role of government then? So government comes in the picture when we will be talking about the fiscal. So government creates the fiscal policy and the Fed creates the monetary policy. The fiscal policy are the policy related to how Congress or our government will do the taxing, how it will do the spending on different infrastructure or technological advancement inside the country, or if they want to push forward some particular industry, then all those rules and policies are introduced by government. For example, during 2020 COVID, government brought so many stimulus packages where all those money were given to different industry as a support. So those rules are created by government, where they can also kickstart an economy, at least when they provide so much of money. That money creates the consumption, and that consumption kickstart the economy if it has stuck because of some issue. And the Fed thing we already discussed, how Fed does the quantitative easing and the tightening based on the Fed reserve ratio or buying and selling of the bond and other asset classes. So that's at high level how the monetary and the fiscal policies are laid out. And the important point to understand here is that our entire economy is dependent on these two things. If there is a support from Fed, then market will keep rising no matter what. If there is a tightening from the government side or Fed side, then it will come down, and that will decide in which cycle you should be long or in which cycle you should be short in your investment. It will play a major role. So that is why we went through this economic information, so that at very high level you should have an understanding that, for example, let me give you a very simple example. If you are, let's say, putting your money in Tesla, or if you are putting in Microsoft, then whether you should be long at this point of time or short, that will also depend on how the Fed and the different policies are playing out at the moment. That's very important. Okay, now we understand how our economy is running at any point of time. But now the point is how, as an outsider, as a layman, as a person who is working in software, in health insurance, how we just have a sense of where do we stand in that economy. So for that, we will be doing the measurement of the economy, which is again not done by us. It is done by all the branches of government and different industry, and all those parameters are released on some are released on monthly, quarterly and yearly basis. We just need to monitor them and have a sense of in which direction we are going. So at very high level, there are few of the economic indicators which I have listed here, which we will be going through. Now, these indicators will help you in understanding where we are. But these indicators also have different categories. Some are leading indicator and some are lagging indicator. What it means, in very simple term, leading means it will give you a signal. It can signal you that based on this, your economy is now going to decline or it will rise. It will give you a little bit of signal, leading signal. And the lagging signal is when the economy has risen and or fallen, that will be showing in the lagging indicator. That will be a confirmation that yes, if economy has dropped, then that indicator will confirm that yes, it has clearly dropped. and the current is that will be you can say the real time, whatever is going on in the economy, that will be given by that indicator will be given in your current indicator. So just at very high level, let's go through them. Leading indicator is basically the consumer confidence index. This basically tells you how much our consumer has saved, how much bank balance they have, how much you can say fuel or potential they have to start spending. Because if there is no money in the bank, then that's an obvious signal that there is not going to be much of expenditure. If no expenditure, then industry will not sell. If industry will not sell, then the earning season will be down. If earning season will be down, then so and so and so, you know everything. So this consumer confidence index basically tells you a little bit ahead if there is going to be a decline. So if you can see in the cycle of 2008, the bottom happened here, but starting at this point itself, we started getting a sense that our economy is going to decline. Same thing happened here, but in 2020 that you can't consider that, because that was a black swan event. Everything occurred within within a month, and everything was shut down. But again, I mean, you at least we can clearly see the consumer confidence was totally down during that period. So this provides you an indicator how, what, and in which direction our economy is going. And then this is the ISM Purchasing Manager Index, which indicates the expectation of new orders, cost, employment, and US economic activity. So this is basically all the purchasing manager in the industry. These managers are the manager from some of the businesses. So what are the volume of the new order, the cost of those, what are the total employment in that area? So that is indicated by this indicator. And again, if you can imagine, if there is no new order by those managers, if they are not trying to build something, if they are not trying to grow their inventory, then obviously they are sensing that the economy will go down, and it actually goes down from there. And then the same thing happens in during this COVID area. But you can see as the vaccine became rampant, then the order and the inventory, everything went up starting that point. Current indicator is nothing but your current GDP. GDP will tell you, GDP is basically your economic indicator, which tells what is the total value of the product and services in the economy. If it grows, then obviously your economy is growing. You can compare that with personal income. The rising income indicates a healthier economy. So if the total personal income in the economy is going down, then you can have a sense that the economy, if there will be no fuel, if there is no income to spend in the economy, then it will go down. So using this, you can have a sense what will be the direction of your economy. So if you see here, during the period of 2008 and 10, we have a decline in personal income, and same thing happened in GDP as well. And again, you can take this from the Fed side, and then you can go back 15 year and 20 year, and you will notice that there is a pattern. Whenever there is a recession, such kind of things happen. Industrial production index, it is self-explanatory. When it goes down, there will be an indication that now the economy is not performing well. The lagging indicator is your interest rate, because we just discussed, based on what is happening in the market, if our economy is going too high or too low, our government and Fed intervene and they take control of the interest rate. So based on that, the Fed plays a very important role in controlling the interest rate, and because of that, our further path of the economy is decided. And that is very, very important for us. As I said, the decision by the Fed is the one of the most important factor, which is included by all of our market maker and industry wide, all the banks and everyone, to provide their analysis of each stocks or overall economy, and based on that our stocks goes up and down. Lagging indicator is again the consumer price index. This indicates basically the cash flow for households. Inflation is often the result of the rising input cost and increasing money supply across the economy. So this is again the result of the decline in the economy, and then based on that the consumer price index is impacted. So this again give you the same thing. This again give you a very high level idea of what will be the direction. Unemployment rate, again this is the lagging one, because as I said, this is the Fed's mandate. Fed has to take a decision on which direction they will go, and that decides the unemployment rate. So by that I think we are good till now with step number 6, which is measuring the economy. So overall, the main message which I want to send across to all of you, that just start monitoring these indicators on your day-to-day activity. Just try to, because these things doesn't happen, these things doesn't changes daily. These things will change in maybe in 1 month, in 1 quarter. So just being aware of these components, you will have a sense. That sense will be your kind of a second nature. It will come inside you as a subconscious mind, that where in the economy we stand, and that will play a very important role in what kind of outlook you will be having while investing in equities or option or in real estate or in bond. So this will play a very important role, and this doesn't take lots of effort from your side. Main effort in just in understanding initially, and then you just have to monitor it maybe once in a month, once in a quarter, and that's it. But that will play a lots of important role in all of our next steps. So we have covered a lot. We have covered from step number 1 to step number 6, which is from studying overall economy to understanding the economy and measuring the economy. Now let's take a step back. Let's try to assess. We have covered half of the journey. We must have learned so much, so that maybe 80% of us need not even go beyond this point, because your purpose will be fulfilled at this point itself. So let's try to assess how we can inculcate this knowledge into our financial journey. So if you remember, we have talked about the compound interest based on your current economical situation, current salary structure, how much you can save. Based on that, you must be having in a fixed interest number in your mind, because that is your goal. You need to achieve that interest rate in order to reach your financial goal. So once you are very clear on that number, let's call it a magic number. If you are clear on that magic number, and if that magic number is in the range of 7 to 8%, then you just need to implement step number 1, 2, and 3. That I have given you some indication earlier also. If you need only 7 to 8% as an output, just implementing step number 1, 2, and 3, and finally investing in Ray Dalio all-weather portfolio, or any kind of index fund with some further analysis on that one, what kind of exposure it has to equities and bond, you should be able to get 7 to 8% return, because that is the overall return of our global economy in last 10 year, 20 year, 40 year, 7 to 8% if you are in a developed economy, developed countries. If you are in developing countries like India, Brazil, then there you should expect more. You can expect at least 10 to 12% of growth there in your portfolio, just by doing step number 1 to 3. But we will try to be conservative, and we will talk only about developed economy right now. And in developed economy you can gain 7 to 8%. Now, why 7 to 8%? Let me just give you an example. Let's say if you are able to save 5,000 per month, if you need to retire, let's say in 20 year, and your goal is just 2.9 million dollar. So let's say you started at 25 and by 45 you want to retire with 2.8 million dollar, then you can just your goal will be just 8%, and just these three steps will be good enough for you to implement. But let's say you are your goal is little higher. Either, I mean, again, that can be, there can be millions of permutation communication. It will depend on your personal salary structure, your family expectation, and everything. If your expectation is more, if your expectation is approximately, let's say you want to take 10% out of your 10% portfolio, 10% interest rate you want to attain, then let's say you don't want 2.9 million, let's say you want 3.8 million. If you do it 10% for 20 years, then you can reach 3.8 million. Or you are some individual who is just able to deposit $2,000, and then you want to retire in 25 years. Let's say you started working in 25 and by 50 you just want a non-stressful life, then using 10% you can reach a lump sum of $2.6 million. Now again, all those numbers will be very personal to you. You decide how much you want, but ultimately you need to find out your magic number, how much you want as a return. Now, if you want just 7 to 8%, we are good with 1 to 3. But if you really looking for 10% of return, then if you have understood what we discussed in human behavior and psychology, understanding the economy and measuring the economy, using the education in these steps, you should be able to take a fair call of at what time and in what percentage you should be in equities and what percentage in bond, depending on where our Fed is, what is the economic cycle currently, which sector is currently suited for this economic cycle. So based on those information, you should be able to get a 10% return for your portfolio very comfortably. Now again, I mean just this much of education will not be enough. You need to go further in this direction, study more, understand what kind of modification you can do. Maybe we can talk about it in any another video, but at least this is the direction you need to go into. Whenever you are starting a journey, first thing is your goal should be clear. That is half battle won. If your goal is clear, if you also know what are the tools you need to use, and the tools we were used here is all the index fund, understanding of economy and measuring of economy. Then if you are clear on the tools as well, then that is further half battle won. Now all you have to do is understand those tools clearly and implement. Okay, so If you need 10% as an output for your portfolio, then till step number 6, you are good. Now, if you want 12% as an your input, 12% as your output, your magical number is, let's say, 12%. Let's say you are putting 5,000 per month, and in 20 years you really want to have $5 million. Then we need to jump to magic number of 12%. Or if you just submitting $2,000 in your brokerage account, then in 12 years, with 12%, you will get 3.7 million in 25 year. But let's say if you want to retire in 20 year, you're starting with 25 and you want a non-stressful life by the age of 45, then in 20 year, you can have $2 million. So all these things comes with just a little bit of planning. You plan yourself. It's not a rocket science. You just plan yourself, understand the compound interest, find your magic number, and then come to the implementation. Okay. Now, for attaining that 12% return in the portfolio, that is the hard task. And no matter how much education you get from all over the world, from all the books and YouTube videos, if you are not focused truly on your return on this magic number, then there is a high chance that you will divert yourself into the direction where the return will even go lower. If you try to find some tricks, some shortcut, some guru formula, then you will in a way destroy your portfolio. There is no shortcut beyond this point. All the shortcut was above this point. The shortcuts like just put in Ray Dalio portfolio, just take a term insurance, just put in 401k. These were the shortcut. These were the easy things to do. If you want to jump from 10 to 12, that 2% is called the alpha. Alpha to be generated from the market. That is extra which you want. Extra compared to the entire economy. And for that extra, it is very, very hard. But if you plan properly, set your expectation properly, and you understand all the biases which we discussed, then that can be achieved very easily. But if you don't know, then it will be tough. It's just like driving a car. Driving a car is very, very hard thing. If you don't know, 100% you will crash. But if you know how to drive, what are the traffic rules, what are the rules to be followed on highway, then you can easily go to your destination. So same thing applies here. You need to understand it. The knowledge is everything. Okay. So regarding alpha, now I want to tell you something more regarding this alpha which we will try to generate. Now this alpha is basically your return, which you want extra from the market. There are tons of ways, tons of strategies out there using which you can generate the alpha. There are all the type of momentum investing, trend investing. There are many technical formulas. There are many momentum indicator. There are tons of things. This field is so much populated, so much crowded that it is very, very easy to lose your direction. So how to stay on the right path is that whenever you are talking about your alpha, always and always try to include what is the risk which you are taking to generate that alpha. So that is called your beta. So alpha I can generate 2%, I can generate 20% even. If the overall market is giving 10%, I can target 30% also. There is no problem in targeting. But we need to understand the risk. What is the risk adjusted return? If I'm willing to take an alpha of 3%, am I willing to lose 5%? Am I willing to go down to 10%? If you are not willing to take that risk, which none of us are, then you should really calculate your alpha with respect to the risk, and take that calculated risk to generate the alpha. And if you just think about this line, generating alpha risk adjusted, which is your beta. If you just think about this line, this will be your path. If you stay on this path, none of those scams, none of those guru formula you will be deviated from. You will not, you will clearly understand what is the risk there, and for that risk, how much alpha you are expecting. That is also called Sharpe ratio. Sharpe ratio basically tells us that for a given risk, how much we are generating as a return. Now, how do you calculate the risk? The risk is calculated by how much is the volatility in your portfolio, how much is the drawdown to the portfolio. So whenever you have any strategy, you try to back test it, then you will simulate it and try to understand what is the worst in this strategy. So for example, my strategy, I will give you a very simple thing, that let's say sell in January and buy in July. Very simple, I'm just throwing something. So if you follow this strategy, just simulate it and try to understand what is the volatility, how much your portfolio is going up and how much it is going down. If the drawdown is, let's say, 20%, then that means your portfolio, means you started the year with 100,000 and now you have 80,000. Are you okay with that? If you are not okay with that, then you don't have to go with that strategy. Whoever is suggesting it, any guru, any financial advisor, whoever is suggesting it, you can't go with that. So whenever you are talking with any strategy who is promising you some alpha, you need to talk about beta, the risk adjusted alpha, right? So starting this point, when we will go down, please keep it in mind that we are only targeting to generate 2% more, and we will try to reduce the risk as much as possible. That should be your question in your mind all the time when we are discussing all these steps. We will be discussing steps number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All these things will only concentrate on one and one part, which is reducing the risk. If you are not able to reduce the risk, don't go beyond that point. Just stick to step number 1, 2, 3. Understand the economy and adjust your portfolio in equities and bond, and that's all you have to do. Maybe you will have to work a few years more, but that path is much better than going forward if you don't understand the risk. But if you really can put some effort and understand the risk, then there is a lot of return to be captured from. And that we will be discussing from this point on. How to understand that risk, what are the different opportunities available, and how to use that risk and alpha generated to enhance the overall portfolio return. Okay, another thing which I just wanted to mention here is that try to get the education for this as much as possible. Because as I said, these financial domain are so deep. This is basically a science of what happened when there is an economy of 7 billion people. And in that 7 billion people, there are so many millions of people who are investing in the market, so no one can ever understand the dynamics of economy properly, the dynamics of market properly. So the education is everything. And I can guarantee you that no matter how much you learn, you will always be behind someone. So but it is very easy to get that confidence also. Once you learn something, you feel that now you know everything. Now you will go in the market and invest, and you will do wonders. So please understand that in the economy, there is always someone in your opposite side, who will be taking the opposite side of your trade. So you should always assess whatever you have learned and the strategy which you are going to implement properly. And that is where all these risk will come into the picture. Why there is a risk? Because there is someone at the opposite side who is taking this trade. We need to understand, does he know something more than me? But if you do not have that humility, uh, to understand that there are more knowledge out there, it will become very hard to implement those strategies. Because there is a saying, very few people know that they know very few. Usually people know something, and then they have that confidence. We have also talked about this in our human psychology portion. If you learn something, there is always something more out there. So there are very few people out there who know that they know very few. uh, and that is why we should just continue on our education of understanding something. Because education, again, this is also a quote from somewhere, that education is not the preparation, but education is the life in itself. So it's not that you reached some point and your education is done, you learned about economy and now you are good. That's not the case. Education is not the preparation for that point. Education is the life in itself. You keep learning about it and keep making yourself better. Now, that being said, so we will be now understanding the step number 7, which is understanding the different asset classes. So now again, as I said, once we have our goal clear, we need to be clear on what are the tools which we will be playing with. So these are the tools which are in front of you. Obviously the first tool is the stock and equities, which are present in US market or in whichever country you are. And then the another asset class is the international stocks. The stocks in the emerging market, non-emerging market, or the developed market. And then there is a different aspect of looking at those asset class in large cap, mid cap, small cap. Why there is this distinction? Because all these things are all these asset class takes a different course depending on how the economy is going at any point of time. Because if you remember, the interest rate, the inflation, and the Fed response decides the path of the economy. And based on that interest rate, all these companies are impacted differently. Because small cap company need lots of funding, because they are just starting up, and if the interest rate is too high, then they will take different path compared to a large cap. For example, Amazon or Google will not that much be impacted by interest rate change, because they already have that much of cash surplus, or they have planned for that already ahead. And then there are different sector in equities which we need to understand. What are the different sector, how each of these sector takes different course in the economic cycle. Then there is government and corporate bond, which is in a way considered risk free. But you need to understand, there are government also who fails, there are corporate also who fails. There is no risk free as such in ideal world, but people do understand that the government bond is kind of a risk free, because in their lifetime they have never seen a scenario where the government has gone bankrupt. There are few unfortunate country and unfortunate citizen who have seen that in their lifetime, but almost 99% of us don't have that experience, fortunately. But there are scenarios where government can fail, and if government fail, your bond will underperform, or it can also uh, uh, take your portfolio in negative direction. Then there is gold and silver, the precious metal group, which is again a part of commodities, but I have written commodities separate because I mainly wanted to mention the soft commodities there, which are natural gas, crude oil, and other agricultural stuff. So these are the overall asset classes in which you can invest. And why we are discussing of different asset classes? Because this is the free lunch, and the free lunch here is the diversification. This is the free lunch. If you can simply do the diversification, whatever you have done in step number 3, just go ahead with your step number 3. But if you can diversify it among equities, government bond, corporate bond, silver, gold, precious metals, commodities, and within equities also, if you have done a good diversification between large cap, mid cap, and small cap and different sector, then you are way ahead. You are safe. You are in a way, you have saved yourself from the tail risk in the economy. Now, one thing I want everyone to understand is that no one out there in the world knows exactly what should be the exact ratio of all these asset class in your portfolio. No one, no financial advisor out there, no Warren Buffett, no Ray Dalio, no one knows the exact ratio of these in your portfolio which will perform better in next 1 year or 2 year. All which can be done is they look at the past and try to extrapolate it, because what will happen in future is all dependent on the our economic cycle, the expansion and the contraction, and those expansion and contraction is followed by the action by the government and the Fed of different countries. What are the policies which they will decide? No one knows. So no one knows how large cap, mid cap, small cap will impact it. Usually I have seen people, my friends and family in India, they talk about which mutual fund, how much mutual fund, how much in mid cap, how much. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You invest in the entire economy and do a fair judgment of how much the split should be in each sector and each large cap, mid cap, or in commodities if you are going in commodity direction. So you decide, you take your judgment. Your judgment is as good as any another PhD scholar or a financial advisor in any brokerage firm in the world. Got it? But the point here is that you need to do the diversification. You need to start with the index fund, and on index fund you can do the diversification. That is a free lunch. You can just use that free lunch and then start, because you were already at 7 to 8%. You understand the economy, you know how to switch between equities and bond. Based on that, you came to 9 to 10%. Using this also, using this understanding of different asset class and diversification, you can fix your position in the bracket of 10%, or when you can jump to 11% if you understand this asset allocation for different diversification. So that is the all the point which I wanted to cover in asset class. And here you can see at high level, again, there are these are different categories: cash, equity, fixed income, real estate, and commodities. Each one of these comes with their uh, pros and cons. For example, liquidity: cash is obviously all the time liquid. Equity also, if you have invested in correct company, then it will be all the time liquid. Fixed income, you put in FD, or you invest in bond. And then real estate is not liquid. Commodities is again liquid. Depend on how much money you want at what point of time, you need to take this decision. You can take help of financial advisor, but take it from me, nobody understand your understand your financial situation better than you. No matter how many master's degree or PhD they have, you understand your financial situation better than them. So yeah, so these are the overall asset classes which you can look into, and you can start with your asset allocation. One thing I wanted to add in this asset class is, you need to understand what is the potential return out of all these different asset class. So this graph explains it very well. The government bond is obviously at the very bottom with the less return, and it has the least risk. It has the risk, but it has the least risk. Bank deposit has little more return, but it has little more risk, because if that bank goes bankrupt, then there is some unfortunate thing which might happen with your portfolio. And then corporate bond are the bond issued by companies, that also you can invest in. That will give you more return with little more risk. And then it is followed by a mixed asset fund, which is your mutual fund and everything, which will give you better return and then with more risk. If you move to equity fund, that is again okay, so this is the fund of all the bond, this is fund of all the equities. You can mix and match both of them to get a average return in this range and with the average risk of this point. And then you can go to shares, with that is individual companies, and then that will give you the maximum return here, and then with the maximum risk. Now, what we will try to understand further in this video is that what are the other options available, and if there are other options available, then is that the case that it will lie here? That means we will get more potential return, but we will have to go with the more risk. If that is the case, then that is not what we want, because we have already came so far in the risk zone that we don't want to increase our risk further. Okay, so we will try to find a way which is giving me more return, but that should not lie here, but that should lie somewhere here. If not less than share, then not more than that. We will try to find some strategy which will give me more return, but that should reduce the risk. And what is risk? Risk is volatility. What is volatility? Volatility is the drawdown. Very simple. There is no complex thing happening there. Just understand that you should not experience a big drawdown if you are looking for a better alternative, and that we will try to go through in our next videos. So now we are on our 8th step, which is fundamental analysis. So this is the milestone which actually sets you on actual path of investment, where you literally try to understand what that company is, what does it do, who is doing that inside that company, what is the goal of that company in next 5 years, what is the growth they are targeting, and based on your opinion, what is the goal they will be able to achieve in their growth cycle. Once you have a fair understanding of these points, then you have a fair understanding of that company. So this is very similar to having your own business. When you start your business, so for example you have a franchisee business where you have taken a franchisee of, let's say, McDonald's or Starbucks, and then you are doing your business. So you need to understand what are the raw material, how much raw material you are consuming, how much product you are selling, what are the profit margin. So those details you need to know now, because you are fully going to be committed to that company. So what is fundamental analysis? At high level, this is the fundamental analysis. Now, how to do the fundamental analysis? There is at high level 3 statements issued by the company, which is balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement. These statements are released by the company quarterly and annually, which tells you exactly what's happening inside that company. So just a very high level one liner. Balance sheet explains how much is the asset and debt inside the company. Income statement tells how much it got in revenue, how much was the cost, and how much is the rest profit. And the cash flow is basically where they are trying to show how much was the cash when they started the cycle, and how much is the cash at the end of the cycle after all the operations, after giving all the loan or dividend. Now you can go inside all these balance sheet. You can have your education cycle, try to understand what actually is there inside this. Maybe we can have a separate detailed video also on that one. But at high level, you should be able to understand these statements. These statements are available at different websites, Google Finance, Yahoo Finance. There are tons of websites which present these details for each company. You can understand and try to get a sense of whether this is the company which aligns with your vision. This is the company which you like. So once you understand the balance, income, and cash flow, then you also need to understand what is the moat of this company. The moat is basically uh, the advantage, the as mindset which we are talking about. This as mindset is nothing but the moat. The advantage which we are trying to have over other people. So if we have this as mindset, we will have better chance to excel. Similarly, if a company has a moat, it has some specific power, then it has better chance of succeeding. For example, Coke has a moat that it has a very specific flavor liked by the entire population on the earth, and that is its moat. If Coke loses that taste, then the company will go downhill. Similarly, Apple has a moat where it has a advantage. Any user has the advantage of its ecosystem if they use their devices, and that's their moat. So each company has their moat. If it doesn't have the moat, then that company will not have a big future if you are thinking about investing in that company. And then you need to learn about the valuation of the company. Valuation is again how much it is generating every year, every quarter, and that the value of that money in the present sense. What is the value of that money if a company will produce that output in 1 year, in 2 year, in 3 year, into until perpetuity. So what do? You try to have a fair value of the fair present value of all the future output of that company, and then you sum all of them and try to sense that if I really have to value this company at present, what should be the value right now. And if that value is less than the current stock price or market cap of the company, then it's cheap. But if it is more, then it's not cheap. You should wait for a time when it will be coming at the right value. Because let me tell you, any company in stock market, it always goes up and down. There is no company ever which went all the way down, or there is no company which went all the way up. It will be going in the cycle, and this is the cycle which will give you the edge mindset. So using using this mindset, we will try to find the companies which are fundamentally at a lower price right now compared to its fair value. And that's all fundamental analysis is all about. You can try to read a book on this one, because this is really an area where a full amount of dedication and commitment should be put on from any investor. If they don't understand the company fundamentally, it will very difficult to use the tools which we will be discussing going forward in the next cycle. For example, we will be discussing technical analysis or option trading. But if you do not have the fundamental analysis of that company, then it becomes hard to use those tools. But once you have very good analysis fundamentally of that company, then you can additionally use the tool provided by technical and options trading to take advantage of it. So to summarize, in fundamental analysis, try to understand each of these points. What does the company do? What does the company produce? Who are the customer? Balance sheet, income statement, cash flow. How much is the debt? I mean, there is tons of things there, starting with P ratio to price to book ratio, price to sales ratio. Have a fair understanding, because these ratios are basically to help you to compare one company with another at the fundamental level. And at the last, you need to derive what is the valuation of that company. Now for valuation also there are different methods, but you don't have to be genius on all those valuation method. There is a DCF method, discounting formula for that one, based on which you can evaluate a company, discounting all the future output and calculating the present value of it. And as I said, all the company at some point of time will for sure come at that right valuation. You need to wait for that. So that waiting exactly is your as mindset here. There is tons of analysis to be done. All those analysis you can do on your leisure time, but you need not start investing in that company immediately. Till the point you are not clear on all these steps, just stick to the step number 1, 2, 3 which we discussed in this video, and let your portfolio grow from there. But once you are very clear on the fundamental analysis of a company, and your weight is also over, means that the company is at the right valuation, you jump on it. You can either go long directly, or you can add that long position with some technical analysis and option trading, which will give you extra alpha with respect to the correct amount of the risk which we will be going forward. And that is where the main fun will begin. So this was basically your base. Please make sure you have a very strong understanding of that company. In one line, that's all what it means by fundamental analysis. Now we will be moving to technical analysis. What is technical analysis? Does it even work? Why people are crazy about it? And how you can use it for your advantage? Because what is your goal? Your goal, if you're not clear by now, your goal is that magic number. that interest rate which you have to attain. Okay, that should always in your radar. That is the always your point where you should focus all the time, no matter whatever we are discussing, technical, option, future. Don't worry about that. Always think about your magic number. Stick to your magic number, and that's your goal. Technical analysis is basically chart reading, where in chart there is a price action of what was the high and low at on any given day, and during that high and low what was the volume with which a stock traded. Based on the high and low and the volume traded, people try to make sense of how all the existing investor and trader is treating that stock, and based on that they try to take the long and short position. So at high level, technical analysis has nothing to do with the fundamental of the company. They just try to understand that if there is lots of attention based on the volume, if there is lots of volume, then there is lots of attention, and if there is less volume, there is less attention in that stock. And just based on that up, high and low, they try to make a pattern in the stock. They try to understand what is the support and what is the resistance. The support simply means, in for example, if in last 1 year the stock has never gone down from 100, then 100 is your support, and at top is the stock has never gone up from let's say up above 120, then that is the resistance, and stock has always remained between them, then that give you a fair understanding of this stock is between 100 and 20. But fundamentally it has no meaning. Fundamentally that stock can zoom to 152, and fundamentally if there is something wrong it can go down to 50 again, from 150 to 50. So fundamentally you need to understand that company, but technical analysis just give you an additional information of current setup, how the market is treating it. And based on that, if you feel that the company is at the right point where it has been sold off enough, then at that point you can start buying it if you are fundamentally strong. And if you are, let's say, short on that stock, you don't like, you think this stock will go down fundamentally, then you can sort that stock based on how the people are treating it, whether it is overbought or oversold. So at high level, what I will suggest is treat technical analysis with a pinch of salt. Treat it just like an additional information. Take it as a little confirmation on top of your fundamental analysis. Now again, there are people who does only technical analysis, and they are making millions and millions out of it. But again, you need to understand how much time they are spending on it. Are you willing to spend that much of time and education in that field? And what is the risk adjusted return? If the risk adjusted return of that strategy is not good, then it is not good for your portfolio. And there is a very few strategies in technical analysis which will consistently give you good output. In fact, none of the strategy will consistently give you good output, because if you think at the high level, our economy always keeps changing. If you have understood the economy part, the contraction, the recession, the recovery always keeps changing, and I told you there is a new policies all the time. So whenever there is any new policy, new information, new fundamental change, the technical analysis got thrown away out of the window immediately. When there is nothing happening in the world is like freeze. There is no word from any government, there is no policy from any government, all the companies are going as it is, there is no fundamental information anywhere. Then if you just go with the dynamics of the market, then the current set of trader and their expectation of high and low decides the future of the market for future of the stock prices based on the technical analysis. But that is never true. The world is not in freeze mode. World is always in dynamic mode. Always something is happening. Some pandemic is happening, some company is releasing some new products, some new innovation is coming, some new policies are coming. So that's why technical analysis is good in a very small time zone. So let's say if your market start at 9, between 9 to 10 a.m. you try to make money, you buy at 9, sell at 10, you do those kind of trading. Between that there is a very few chance of new fundamental information, and that is how you can take benefit of technical. But if you think about the entire economy, all the fundamental knowledge, then those technical strategy will not work if you try to expand it to 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year. There are few strategies where they look for the trend and then they go for the swing trading. They look for the direction and they take the overnight risk also. But again, those things got thrown off if there is any new fundamental knowledge. So that is overall very high level understanding for technical analysis for any newbie, and how they should use this technical analysis in their investment journey, because they must be having their magic number in their mind, 12% or 13% or 10%. If you really need technical analysis, then you think about it. If you really have to use technical analysis, use it as a supplement for an additional information, just with a pinch of salt. Otherwise, you don't have to rely totally on it unless you have totally jumped into a world of trading in using the technical analysis. So that's the overall meaning and how we will be using the technical analysis. We will try to have a sense of economic market cycle and how does it impact different sector of the economy. So if you look at this chart, then you can see that there is two different cycle at any point of time going in the world. One is the economy cycle, one is the market cycle. The market cycle is kind of a leading cycle compared to economy. Why? Because in the market there are all the investor and trader who always try to make sense of all these information, and if there is some information which is concrete, then they take the actions immediately. So if, let's say, the Fed is going to increase the interest rate, then the market will fall immediately today itself. But the impact of increased interest rate in the actual economy will be evident after few months or at least after few weeks. So that is why the market cycle is always ahead of the economy cycle. Now, if you look closely, based on where we are currently in the cycle, you can invest in different sector, because different sector are long and short at different point of time. So for example, so if you look at the very start, so here the market has already bottomed and the economy has started falling. What happens when market has already bottomed? That means is that all the finance technology has already fallen to a very low of their 52-week cycle, and this is the right time to jump into this technology, because once the market start recovering, these technology and finance stocks are the first one to recover. So at this point of time, you can start putting your money in finance and technology, and you can start reducing your exposure to basic material, energy, staples and healthcare, because these are the stocks which will not grow much compared to technology. Similarly, when you are coming at the top of the market, that means all the finance and technology stocks has already achieved the high for this cycle. Now it's in your interest to get rid of them, sell them, and then move your fund mostly into stable sectors like basic materials, staples, healthcare, utilities, so that now if the market falls, these will not fall because these sectors are relatively stable. So that is the high level idea of sector rotation. You can go through the chart. I have given this another chart also, which is clearly saying when you should go minus. Minus is the short. When you should go plus. Plus is the going long over that sector, given the your position in the market cycle or economy cycle. Here also we are trying to show the same thing. When market expands, start expanding in technology, finance, transportation, and when it starts going down, quickly move to utilities and consumer defensive healthcare stuffs, so that you are safe from the big fall. But always try to be in the market, because if you're not in the market, you will lose that element of compound interest. Okay, now we will be discussing our 10th step, which is options analysis and strategies. And this is the place where magic happens. This is where the fortune is created, and this is where the fortune is lost as well, if you don't come up here with the right amount of education, right amount of understanding of human psychology, how the trading works. You really need to be expert on all these. But again, even if you are a beginner, and if you keep discipline with you, then you can use these strategies to leverage the entire market and get that additional alpha at the very less risk, which is basically the best beta. So in option analysis, we will at high level go through the call, put, and then we will try to understand what are the other all the other income generating strategy. So option is a very complex topic, but I will try to explain you this in a very layman language, in a very plain English, so that there is very least confusion out there. So in options, what we do is we try to make a contract which is for a stipulated date in the future, and that future date is called the expiry date. Why? Because the agreement what you are trying to make, this agreement will expire on that day. And what is the agreement? Agreement is the by options you can try to convert the word option into right. So right to buy and right to sell. So these two things we will be talking about. So we are not buying or selling the stock. We are buying or selling the right. Let it sink in for a few seconds. We are buying or selling the rights. What is rights here? Right to buy. So, and right to sell. So let's talk about just right to buy for now. So right to buy, you can buy and you can sell. What does it mean? That means is, so whenever we are talking about buy, right to buy means call. And whenever we are talking about right to sell, that is put. And again, same thing, you can sell and buy the put, you can sell and buy the call. Now we will be, for sake of simplicity, just take a simple example. We should understand something which is the payoff graph. That is the easiest way to understand the option. You can keep understanding moneyness in the money, out the money, all of those things, but just come to the payoff graph. Payoff graph is basically depending on what is the price of the stock, how much will be your return. So let's concentrate on this chart here. So this is your price payoff graph. On the x-axis we have the price of the stock. On the y-axis it is your profit or loss. This dotted line is the payoff graph of your stock. If you buy or if you go long a stock, then this is your payoff graph. If you, let's say the stock is at 100 right now, if it increase, you will make this $5 of profit. If it goes to 95, you will lose this $5 of loss. You will basically make a loss of $5, and this side you will make a gain of $5. And similarly, the upper you go, the more profit you will have. The down you go, the more loss you will make. That is the dotted line, which is the simple buying of a stock. But what if I don't buy the stock? If I talk about the call put, I sell the, if I sell the right to buy, if I sell the right to buy the stock, means right to buy I have sold, means anybody, if I have sold it to anyone, they got the right to buy. So they have the right to buy the stock from me at before the expiry date at a given strike price. So let's say I make a contract with someone that at this 105, I am giving them the right that starting now till next month, in the next 1 month, you have right to buy. You at any point of time you can come to me and say, Ravi, I want to buy it at 105. And that is the right to buy which I have given to him. So I have given to him means I am selling. So what I am getting the premium. And that premium will be somewhere around, let's say 0.5% of the stock price, $1. If it is $1, then it is 1%. If it is, let's say 50 cents, then I'm getting 0.5%. So that is the premium I got. Now, but try to see, we have given them the right to buy at 105. That person will not buy from me if the stock remains below than 105, because currently the stock is at 100. It's not at 105. If the stock remain in this gap or in this gap, they will never come to me and buy the stock from me. But if the stock goes above, then they will come to me and they will buy the stock from me at 105. And that is how the call works. And this, in a way, right now we just discussed, is a covered call. So covered call, what it means is you buy the stock. So let's say the stock is at 100, you buy it. And then you sell the call on that stock. So let's say by selling it, you got $1 and you sold it at 105 and you already got a premium of $1. So if and this is just for next 1 month. This contract is for next 1 month. If the stock remains between 105 or it remains below 105 anywhere, then that premium is with you. You bought the stock for $100, you got a premium of $1. So now in reality, the price of a stock for you is $99. Even though stock is at, let's say, 104, you are already making a profit from between 100 to 104, and on top of that you got a premium also. So in a way, the point is that you got a stock at 99 because $100 plus minus 1 was the premium you got. So ultimately you paid 99, but now if the stock is at 104, you make a $5 of gain. But let's say the stock remain there only, then you gained $1, which is 1% for the next 1 month. If in the best case scenario, if you continue to doing that, you get 1% every month, then in a year you will get 12% out of this as a covered call strategy. Now again, there are so much of nuances. It can go up, it can go down, anything can happen. But based on that, the point here is that you have the option here to reduce the price of this stock. If the stock goes to 105 or 110, it's better than you. For example, if the stock is at 105, you sell it to them at 105. They will buy it from you at 105. You already got a premium of $1 and you already are making $5 here. So if this happens, that is your best case scenario. You got $6 output, which is the 6% gain in 1 month. And if this happens every month, then you are making 12 times 6, 72%. But that is the best case scenario. That's not going to happen. What is going to happen is sometime, let's say, in 12 months, 1 or 2 times, the stock will really reach here and they will buy it for you. But even if the stock doesn't go there, even if go down little bit, then you are good because you bought the stock which you really believed in, on which you were fundamentally aligned. You know that this is the stock which I want to buy, and you bought at 100. By selling the covered call, you are just reducing your price every month. And because you are fundamentally aligned already, so whenever it will come back, you will already make your money. And if let's say it doesn't come back every month, if you earn $1 premium, then from your actual cost will go from 100 to 99 to 98 to 97 to 96. That way you can do. And that is the edge mindset which we will try to align to gain extra on our fundamentally strong company. That alpha we will try to gain with the least amount of risk. And that is one of the strategy which is covered call. Similarly, there is a protective put which we can discuss, and there are many strategies out there. Cash secured put, covered call, wheel option strategy, strangle and straddle, iron condor and butterfly, low IV calendar spread and diagonal spread, put and call vertical spread. So the point here is, for any kind of market, there is a good strategy here using which you can gain extra alpha over what you have achieved in step 1, 2 and 3. And this is the extra alpha which I'm talking about with the least amount of risk. But the point is you need to get the good amount of education. If you have good amount of education, then you can use these strategies to in your favor to get this kind of alpha. Now, so we have discussed this on covered call. So now let me give you a little more understanding of one another strategy. So an stock, any given stock at any given point of time has five things to do. The first is that, let's say if a stock is at 100, the first is the stock can remain at 100. The second is a good amount of growth. Let's say it will go from 100 to 105 or 110. The third scenario is extreme amount of growth. Some explosion because of some new news. So the stock can go from 100 to 120, 130 in 1 month. The fourth scenario is normal amount of decline, which is stock can go from 100 to 95 or 90. And the fifth is a extreme amount of decline because of any crash or pandemic which happened recently. So stock can go from 100 to 80 or 70. So these five kind of scenario exist anytime in the market. But those five scenarios, if you really understand the probability of it and the volatility which actually exists in a stock, if you monitor a stock for last 1 year and you see the amount of volatility, the volatility always remains between the between normal amount of decline and normal amount of growth. The extreme movement happen, but that doesn't happen often. That happen when there is some pandemic, some recession, some decline, some crash. So but most of the time, 95 to 98% of the time, which again aligns to normal distribution and standard deviation. If you have studied that properly, you understand for any normally distributed variable, within one standard deviation, the movement happens 68% of the time between one standard deviation. Between two standard deviation, the movement happen 98 to 99% of the time. The movement will be between two standard deviation. If you go beyond that, then that is the tail risk which can happen any point of time if there is a big crash or something, but that happens very less. So here what we try to do, that if the stock is at 100, we try to sell, because we will be focusing mainly on the selling of the options. We will be selling one call at one standard deviation at let's say 110, which is you can say that is 16 delta. Again, if you study option, these terms will be clear. And then we will sell one put. So by selling one call and one put, what I mean is you will try to gain 1% from call side, 1% from the sell side. And this is the picture, and this is the payoff graph which will come out. So the stock, if the stock remains between those two strike price, you will make the money. Whatever premium you have taken, you will take it and you will go to the next cycle. But if the market goes beyond that, then also you're not going to immediately use. There are many ways to manage that strategy. You can manage your strategy by rolling it up or rolling it out in time, your call and put, and you can expand your probability, or you can give more time to your strategy to give you the good result or positive result. So those things you can do by selling the strangle. You will capture 1% and 1% from both sides of the market. Now again, it takes lots of education and understanding, but what I want to tell you right now, that there is a way, and this way I will clearly want to explain where does it fit in your entire financial domain. It's not that you just have to come and start trading strangle. You really need to assess, do you even need strangle? Do you even need to come in option or technical understanding? If you can just do good by simply investing in 401k or IRA, and you can easily gain 8%, you can easily retire by 45, that's better. You don't have to come here. But if you want that extra, you should know where does it fit, what kind of education you need to get, and what kind of discipline you need to get. If you do that, you can get that extra alpha by utilizing a calculated amount of risk. And that now we will discuss that. Somebody can tell me that if stock remain between these 2 points, we are gaining, but if it really crashes, then what happened? That is where we will be calculating the risk right now. But before going to that, let me also explain you few of the few of the graphs. So these are the different kind of strategies which you can implement in your payoff graph, and see based on your understanding which is the path of the stocks based on your understanding in coming month. And based on that, you can deploy different strategies depending on the volatility of that particular stock or ETF. Now, so now I want to explain you why this strategy really works. Where you are selling covered call, or you are using protective put, or you are using strangle, why does it actually work? What is the inherent edge which you have? Now try to understand this one. If you do not understand what edge you have, you will never be confident in using that strategy. The edge which we have is lying here in this graph. So what is this graph? So this graph is not the graph or price for any stock. This is the graph of volatility. The volatility inside any stock or ETF. So what is the volatility? Volatility is what is the deviation from the mean, how much it is deviating, how much it is going up and down, and that when it is calculated over the period of 1 year or 52 weeks, then it gives you a number that based on the previous 52 week, this is the expected volatility on this stock at the moment. If it is based on historical, then it gives you historical volatility. But there is something called implied volatility. So what is implied volatility? Implied volatility is the volatility implied by all the investor and trader currently in the market based on how many calls and puts are out there currently on that particular stock. That gives a sense of how much people are expecting it to go up and down. And based on the price and the volume of that call and put, we generate an implied volatility. And the point, the edge which we are talking about is that there is always a tendency of implied volatility being higher than the historical volatility, and that is the point which will give you or generate the alpha for you right now. And we will come to the risk, how to limit the risk, but this is how you will generate the alpha. Why? Because historical volatility is always low compared to the implied volatility. Now how do we take advantage of it? We take advantage of it because we are selling call and put. When you are selling the call and put, you are getting the price or premium based on implied volatility. The volatility decides the price of the call and put, and in reality it happens otherwise. The price and of call and put decides the volatility, but that price is always higher compared to the historical volatility. And because that price is always higher, you get a premium there compared to the actual inherent risk in that stock, because that fear factor is always little more. So if you look in this graph, the blue line is the implied and the historical volatility is the red one, and you can notice that most of the time the blue line is above the red line. So that what happened here. You can notice the same thing in the chart of in the volatility chart of SPX, that the implied volatility is always higher compared to the historical volatility. And that is the point here which you should understand, is that we are selling the volatility. What that means is we are short volatility. Why? Because there is more volatility, there is more fear in the market compared to what actually is going to happen or what has happened recently. And because of that, we are getting more premium. So the point here is the volatility is what we will try to sell. If there is a more volatility, we will try to sell it, because that volatility will give us more premium. When we will be talking about that call and put and we are getting 1% here, 1% here, if there is more volatility in the market, then there is a probability that you will get 1.5% here, 1.5% here, 3% here for the next 45 days or 1 month of period. And that will be your return for that cycle, whether it is 45-day cycle or 60-day cycle. And then comes the concept of volatility curve. Now here we discussed volatility in one dimension. We just saw what is the date, the time, and during each point of time, how much is the implied volatility and the historical volatility. Now there is a concept of volatility 3D curve, where the volatility is plotted for days to expiration, means how many days are left in that option, what is the strike price of that option compared to the current market price of the stock, and the implied volatility is here on the G, or you can say the third dimension. So this tells you how does the volatility differ given the days to expiration and the strike price. And what we just discussed, that we need to sell the volatility. So we will sell the volatility where we are getting the most premium. So if there is a point where the volatility is high, so for example, if you see here, the volatility at this point is highest. So we will try to sell the volatility at this point and buy the volatility at this point. That is called the trade where you will just earn using the volatility differentiation. But again, there are many nuances to consider. Here you will get very less premium because of other component of option, which is delta and gamma. But if you come closer, then you will have better delta and gamma attributes there, which will give you more premium. But the point here, which I want you to understand, is that we try to sell the volatility. We use the 3D graph to try to understand at which point there is more volatility and at which point there is less volatility, and we try to take the advantage of that in our trading style. But we do this on the stock on which we are already fundamentally strong. That is the important part. If anything goes wrong, then at most we will have to own that stock, or we will be rolling it out our position to next cycle, so that we are safe. So what we are trying to do is that we started with fundamental analysis, bought it at the right moment using the technical analysis, and then on top of it we do our options trading on it by selling the correct call and correct put at the correct strike price, so that there is a high chance that those call and put will expire and we will collect all the premium, and we can do this consistently on monthly basis by collecting all those premium, which converts to our alpha. So we already got what we invested using our step number 1, 2, 3, and then on top of that we are generating this alpha, and that will be our extra gain. And now we will be discussing how to reduce the risk in order to generate that kind of alpha, which will mostly come into our portfolio maintenance. And there we will use all the diversification in order to reduce the risk and exposure to the market at any given point. Okay, so in step number 11, we will be talking about creating a system. Anyone who is not involved in the practice of trading or investment, for them it will be a very new concept. However, the word here might be misleading. It's not system as such. We use it in our general life. But the system here means very different. Where at very high level, the system is basically the entire flow, strategy, our rule, our mindset of how we will be proceeding with our investment or trading. In system, we will be discussing all these points which are mentioned here. We will be going through the win ratio, our strategy, entry, exit, the importance of entry, exit rule, the position sizing, and the back testing. So without any further ado, let's start. So when you are building your system, this is basically, if you are a software engineer, this is basically your low level design. There was a high level design of whatever software you're working on. This is actually the low level design, where you are actually writing what you will look for when you will take your trade, what kind of indicator and what kind of number you will wait, and once that number is crossed, you will take your trade. Now that will be your entry rule. So for example, your trade is that you are waiting for a moving average for 10 day to go above or below the 20-day moving average, and then you go with short or long. So that kind of thing you need to put here as a entry rule, and that as soon as you get that indication, you will put your trade. And then there will be something called exit rule, where you will clearly define at what time, at what percentage of profit, or at what percentage of loss you will take your trade out. That should be very clearly defined. And then if we start with the very first step, I think the many steps we might have already discussed, but it will be a good summary here. So ask yourself who you are, what kind of trade you are going to plan, what kind of investment you are going to plan. Will it be long term, short term, or it will be like income approach where you will be taking some part of the portfolio out as income every month. You need to decide what type of market you are comfortable with, in what market your strategy works better, trending or range or breakout. So we need to be very clear on that. And then choosing your tool set, moving average, debt ratios, or you are going with diagonal triangle, or you whatever support and resistance you are looking, these things needs to be clear. I hope you have given sufficient amount of time in the education of your fundamental investing, technical knowledge. So all those strategy will help you here in formulating your system. And then you can define your setup, all the condition which you will wait for, trigger, which will be your entry rule. And then you need to decide your risk and reward ratio. We will very soon discuss about this. This is one of the most important thing which will decide your fate in the world of investing. Your risk reward can be 1 to 2, 1 to 3, which basically tells that how much you are putting on risk to get how much of reward. So for example, if you are putting $1,000 on risk to get a reward of $200, so the risk reward ratio here is 4:1. Or if you put reward first, then it will be 1:4. You are looking for one reward. For that, you are willing to risk 4 times of that reward. We will discuss about this very soon. And then position sizing, we should never risk 1 to 2% of our portfolio on any given trade. Why? Because no matter what happens in the market, there is always black swan event, there is always tail risk event going on in the market. We need to be safe from all of them. We are here to increase our portfolio. So rule number 1, as Warren Buffett said, make sure you don't lose your money. And rule number 2 is you never forget your rule number 1. And then you should test your strategy in a demo account. There are many back testing tool out there. You should test it and then start implementing your strategy. And that is how you will create your system. Now, when we will be talking about our system, we need, as I just talked about, we need to worry about our risk and reward. Now, risk and reward is very important in order to calculate our expected output. Now, why it is important? Now, that is important because of law of large number. If you study in probability, there is a law of large number. It is basically a concept which suggests that as your sample size grow, its mean get closer to the average of the whole population. Average of the whole population. As your sample size grow, your mean get closer to the average of the whole population. So what I mean by that is that let's take any one example of this risk and reward. So for example, our risk to reward ratio is 2 to 1. We are risking $2 to get $1. What it means is that let's say if we are putting a trade where we are expecting maximum out of $1,000, but there is a chance that I can lose $2,000. So when you are going for that trade, you should go for that trade only if you think the probability of the win rate, the win rate percentage of this strategy is at least 67%. Means you will win 67% of the time. So for example, you you did 1000 such bets where you put $1,000 and there is a risk that you will lose $2,000, and you put 1000 such trades, then your break even point is that if you won out of 1000 trade, if you won 67% of the trade, then you will be break even. But if you are making 80%, 75%, 70%, then overall your strategy will give you profit. Don't let this concept skip by you. Please go ahead, do the research. This is very, very important concept to understand. This will take care of all other mistakes which you will do in your path of investing or trading. This is your blessing in disguise. So what happens? So as I said, if we have 67% of win rate, then we are good. If we are above that, then we will be in profit. We will be going above the break even. Now what it means is, what law of large number mean is, so for example, if I took just two trade, where, so let's say I have $2,000 and I took two trade of $1,000 each. I will put $1,000, and the return which I will get is, because this is 2 to 1, so if I put $1,000, I will get a return of $500. So let's say we do it only 2 times. There is a very high chance that maybe both time we are loser. And then what will happen is that we have lost all our $2,000, which was our total sum. So that is what the law of large number says, that if your sample size is very small, then your average or your output will be far from the average of the entire population. What was the entire population? Is that we will win 67% of the time. But what happened here? We lost both the time. So that is like 100% of lose. And we need to win at least 67% of time in order to make profit. So if you can increase your number of bets, that will increase your number of occurrences, that will increase your number of sample size, and you will be more closer to the population average. So the more you play, the better your chances of winning will be. So that's why your bet size should be small as possible, in order to get a handsome return. And each of these break-even win rate is basically your particular strategy. For each percentage win rate, there will be different strategy where you will win that many percentage of time. Now it depends on your personality, that which win rate you like the most. If you, let's say you always likes to win, then you need to go with a percentage of 99%, and you need to pick the strategy which will win 99% of the time. But if you pick, let's say, a strategy which will win only 1% of the time, then you need to pick this one where you will win only one time out of 100, but your risk reward will be 100 times. You will put $1,000 and your return will be 1000x. So the point here, the important point here to understand is that you need to find where you are comfortable in out of all these win rate percentage. And if you have worked on multiple strategy, you will know based on your psychology, your behavior, where you are comfortable with. For example, I am comfortable in the range of 83, 80, 75, 67 and 50%. So this is where I am very comfortable. I used to trade. I used to trade in this range. Now, I will show you an example of a trade which wins 80% of the time, and then I will show you how, based on this strategy, I bet I bet with a risk reward of 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, and then I try to do it so many times so that average my average of my sample size gets very closer to the average of the entire possible population. And right, so this is one of the example. So now, what I will try to show here is a trade from options domain. So this is the SPY daily return distribution from 2005 to 2020. So what is plotted here is the daily return of SPY. What is the meaning of that? How much percentage it is increasing or decreasing on daily basis. So it increases, let's say 0.5%, minus 0.5%. Sometime it goes 2% up, sometime it goes 3% down, sometime it goes 10% up, sometime it crashes and goes 20% down. So all those things has been plotted here, and then we count how many times those happened. So if you look at this one, so at the center is 0, means there is almost no change or very minimal change, 0.3 to 0.5% plus or minus. So what you will notice is that most of the time the daily change in SPY is in the range of -1 to +1. And this is the probability distribution. This is showing you the frequency of that occurrence. So for example, if you see at the middle, this is occurring at very highest number, and the number of time when the SPY goes 4% or 5% up, that is very less, very less. Similarly, when it crashes 5% down, when it goes 10% down, that again is very less, but it exists. But if you look at the probability distribution, this is the chart. Now if you understand, this probability distribution is very to a large extent similar to our normal distribution which you have studied in statistics. Now in normal distribution, what happened? There is a key feature of normal distribution, that if you calculate the standard deviation of this probability distribution, then what you will notice is that 68% of the time, 68% of all those days, we will lie between this point to this point, which is one standard deviation to the left and one standard deviation to the right. SPY will remain 68% of the time in this zone. That is the meaning of this normal distribution. And if you go with two standard deviation, which is two standard deviation this side and two standard deviation another side, then 95% of the time we lie within those two range. So we will try to leverage this point to create our strategy. So what we will do is, we will try to create an option strategy which is called strangle. Very common, lots of people uses it. There are lots of books, you can go ahead, Google and try to understand it. It is basically selling a call at upper end and selling a put at lower end at the point where you feel you are comfortable. So for example, if the stock is here, which is at $100 here, so you can go 5% down and 5% up, and you know the market will remain 68 to 80% of the time within this range. So if market remain in this range for 80% of the time, then that is our strategy. We are making a trade where we will profit if market remains between this point and this point. This is the payoff graph of strangle. So if market starts going down from here, then here this is our break even, and this side this is our break even. But market remains at this point to this point, we are making a profit of point this to point this, which is $500. But if it goes down this side and up this side, then we will be making a loss, which will be out of those standard deviation. So 80% of the chance we will remain here, and then it will go out and we will lose. So now how can we use this? We know our strategy will win 80% of the time. Now if it wins 80% of the time, then I know I am falling in this line. And if I am falling in this particular line, then my risk reward ratio is 1:4. If I am risking $1,000, there is a high chance that I will lose $4,000. And that is true. If you do the historical analysis of any strangle, then on average, there is a concept of VAR, value at risk. If you are risking $1,000, if you are expecting $1,000 as an output, then there is a VAR of approximately $5,000. So that way that you can go down. But the point here is that this bet we will take only as small as possible, which will be only 1 to 2% of our portfolio. And that right there in that last line, your trade will be 1 to 2% of your portfolio is the holy grail. Please try to understand this. That is your holy grail. Why? Because you must be having this question in your mind that what happens if the market goes this side or market goes this side? Nothing. You will lose. Nothing will happen. But most 80% of the time you will remain in this zone and you will win. It will go down, you will lose. How much you will lose? Approximately $4,000 or $5,000 if you are expecting $1,000 as output. But the point is, we are betting only 1% to 2% of our. Then you should only risk. Okay, so for example, you have a portfolio of on any 2% is $2,000. Now we are looking for a trade which should win 80% of the time, and the risk reward then should be 1:4. So now if you have $2,000 to risk, then your reward will be time divided by 4, which is $500. So we are looking for a $500 profit and we are risking $2,000. So if we go ahead with that, then in this case we will take this trade. Point here is that we will be take so many trades. The number of occurrences will be so many that we will be trying to make our win 80% of the time. 80% of the time we will be having the winner, and 20% of the time there will be losers. But those losers should not cause any problem to us, because our trade size is so small. And then this page should also give you some probability of how many consecutive losses we should expect and what will be the probability of those consecutive losses. So for example, if we are looking at the line of 80% win rate strategy, then the number of 5 consecutive losses, the probability of 5 consecutive losses is 2%. And if we go down 6, 7, 8, 9 losses, there is almost 0 probability of that happening. But there is a high probability of on 2 losses happening, very high probability. So If you are trading just 5 trade, out of 5 trade, there is a very high chance that there will be 2 losses, and those 2 losses will give you a problem. But let's say if you are trading 1,000 such trade, out of 1,000 such trade, probability of having 2 consecutive losses is very high. It will be 91%. Probability of 3 losses will be very high. It will be 37% of the time. But out of 1,000 trade, those losses will not cause you any problem because you have so many winners. And that is the key of how we can use the statistics, the probability for our advantage. This knowledge in itself trump all other fundamental understanding, technical knowledge, option analysis, all those are below this. If you understand this, then you can take your trade even without being cognizant of which product you are trading. I mean that is a kind of a philosophy there, because there is a set of traders. Tasty Trade is a company who suggests that we can take this kind of trade. But again, if you have fundamental understanding, if you have technical advantage, then that will obviously be an edge to you. But you can be product indifferent and trade any product based on this statistics. It will not matter which interest and which inflation time you are trading in. It will not impact whether you are trading gold or copper or Tesla. It will not impact that. Your profit will not be impacted by that. All which will be impacted is the probability of your how many wins and how many losses are there, and that will decide your final outcome. Now we will be talking about our entire portfolio. Now you know everything. You have understanding of fundamental, technical options, how to take advantage of statistics. Based on that, you will take individual trades. But the point is how you will see whether your portfolio is working good or not. So we will be discussing first of all the diversification in portfolio, and especially the point where we discuss that to gain the advantage from law of large number, our number of occurrences should be very high. So there also it helps if the number of asset class on which you are trading is high. So all the asset classes, for example, SPY, QQQ, TLT, EWJ is Brazil ETF, KWEB is China ETF, and then gold, silver, copper, crude oil. You can take a trade on each one of them and increase your number of occurrences and increase your diversification. So the more number of asset you have, the better it will be diversified. On top of that, what you need to worry about the correlation of those assets to each other. So if they have least correlation, it's better. So for example, the natural gas and SPY will not have that much correlation as SPY and QQ has. QQQ and Tesla will have very high correlation, so you can't use both of them together. That is no diversification. So you must be doing diversification as much as you can. Based on that, you will know, you need to calculate how much you are exposed to the market, which is kind of a you can say it's a beta weighted delta. What that mean in a very simple term is, if you have all these assets, gold, silver, SPY, QQQ, then if we try to understand out of all these trades how much we are exposed to the market, how much we are exposed to SPY. So if we are having $10,000 in gold, in SPY term, how much is that? If we are having 20,000 of crude oil, in SPY term, how much is that? If we are having 20,000 of SPY, then obviously in SPY term it is $20,000. So that's beta adjusted delta, how much we are exposed to the market. If we can reduce that beta adjusted delta, then we will be very much reducing our risk and risk exposure to the open market. And that is how we will manage our portfolio. So here I have created, not I have created, basically I have taken it from Testy Trade. There's a link here also for Testy Trade, where they are trying to explain a portfolio, a sample portfolio, and they are trying to explain how much we should expect from 100,000 portfolio. So what the strategy what we will be following here is mainly the put, call and strangle, which are all option strategies. The strangle, which we have already discussed, so that is basically the central theme here. The put and call, again, that is the just one side of that strangle, but we can strategize using this approach. So we have $100,000 of portfolio. We will keep 50% of that in cash. We will not invest it, we will not do anything with it. So 50% will be kept separately, and the rest 50% will be used as option buying power. And using this, we will trade this many product, which is SPY, QQQ, IWM, FXI, 6E, XOP, BITO. Again, this is just a random set of asset class which has been taken by Testy Trade as an example. Neither Testy Trade, I'm not aligned to Testy Trade, and I'm also not suggesting you to go with this portfolio. This is just for understanding, not for copying or not for imitating. So if we take these asset class, then, and for each asset class we sell this many contract for each strategy, then we will get this much of premium, which is the reward from each of those strategy. The total reward will come to $7,000, and in order to take that reward, we need to put something as a margin with our broker, which is called as buying power reduction, which is BPR. So for this trade we need to put 6,800, for this trade we need to put 9,000. This is just a margin that if anything goes wrong with this trade, then the losses will be booked through this. But as you know, our win rate is 80% of the time. So 80% of the time we will be collecting this premium. 20% of the time we might go in the loss range, which will be again might be 1x of your reward, 2x of your reward, 3x of your reward, 4, 5x of your reward, based on your trade size. Now the total BPR here is $50,000. So we use $50,000. We took a premium of $7,000, and this is approximately a trade of 45 days of expiry. So out of those $7,000, usually these 45 days of expiries are cancelled out at 21 day, means at 21 day of expiry we will take our money out, profit or loss. So out of this 7,000, here you can see what will be our monthly expectation. So our monthly expectation is, obviously we won't win on all these trade. Out of 7,000, we will not take all these 7,000. So what we are doing here is that we are being very conservative and taking only 25% of this. So 25% of this, let's say, is 1,750, which is your 1.75% return over 1 month. So out of your 100,000 portfolio, you are getting $1,750 per month, 1.75% per month. Now let's calculate it further. Now if you have 1.75% per month times 12, your monthly percentage return is 21%. And remember the 50% cash which we kept idle in our brokerage account, There are many brokers out there, Fidelity, IVKR, who provides you risk-free rate also on that one, which is very competitive compared to the current bond rate in the market for 10-year yield. So that is right now in the market as 5%. In market it is 5.5%, but IVKR or Fidelity will give you somewhere around 5%. I use IVKR, so I know about IVKR. For sure they are giving 5%, maybe Fidelity or maybe other brokers might also be giving. So out of this you will earn 5% on your 50% of the money. So on 50% you are gaining 5%. So on your whole portfolio it is 2.5%. And 21 you gain from here. So your total return is 23% per year. Annual return 23% per year. Now, if we try to be conservative, very conservative, then let's reduce 1.75% to just 1% return per month. And that will convert to 12% here plus 2.5, which is 14.5% return per year. And if you be in somewhat middle between 1 to 1.75, and we expect, let's say out of 21% we are capturing 15% of return, then you are having 17.5% of the return, which out of 100,000 it will be either 23,000 of return, 14,000 of return, or 17,000 of return. And I have calculated this for 1000k. You can, based on your portfolio, you can multiply it by 3, 4, 5, or you can divide it by 2, or based on your account size. Let's say if you have $1 million, then you can expect 235,000 output in the best case scenario, which is again already conservative. If you see, we are already conservative here, and we are dividing this 7,000 by 4. So we have taken into consideration all possible losses, and we are considering only 25% of the theta. So that will come out to be 235,000 in that case. But if we go even more conservative, then it is 145,000, which is 14%. But if you remember from our second or third step, we are looking for only 12% of output from the market. That is in a way enough for us if we do good amount of discipline in our saving and investing per month. So, and again, I mean, this will differ person by person. Few people need only 10%. Few people might be behind in the loop and they might need 14%. So they can also make it if they have good amount of education with them and they have planned all these steps clearly. So that is how we can expect our portfolio to perform. Okay, step number 13, algo trading. What it means at very high level. Again, this is a very complex topic. You need to be really advanced level of trader or investor in order to execute this step. But at very high level, the system which we created, the automation of that system is algo trading. Your system is the algo, the algorithm, the entry rule, exit rule. Remember, we discussed those are low level design of our program. So we just take those things and we convert it into actual executable code, which can be put through a API to our brokerage, and it will execute automatically with all the risk management, portfolio sizing, at what time we will take a stop loss, at what time we will be coming out of the market. All those things needs to be designed in that algo, and it can be executed that way. That's a very high level. Now how we can use it is that there are lots of third-party software, third-party services. There are lots of, nowadays there are very intuitive GUI based software or website. You can do some research. I can suggest something, but you can do some research and try to see if that is useful for your particular strategy, and then you can, based on that, you can automate it. But the point now here is that once we have a working strategy, once we have a working system, we know our win ratio, we know our portfolio sizing, we know our algo trading. Now you can combine all of these, because these all these information is your proprietary information, something which has been working for you and you only, based on your psychology, based on your behavior. This is working for your family. Once you have this proprietary technique, proprietary firm, proprietary strategy, you can combine this and make your own firm. And that will be how you can self-employ yourself in that firm. And going forward, once your kids are also of, let's say, working age of 15, 16, I don't know what legal age is allowed, you can employ your kid also in that. Start giving this as mindset to kids as well, so they can understand this thing well ahead of the time. Because if you have understand this whole video, then I hope you understand that time is the key here. We really have to fight to be successful, to be financially independent. But for kids, there is lots of option there. Your kids can be time millionaire. They can be millionaire just by time, because they have all these. Right now, if they are 20 year, they have 30 year in order to reach 50. Even if they are 15 year, in 20 year they can do so and so thing if they implement all these steps. So it's very easy for them. And once they are part of your firm, there are so many tax advantages also which you can do. And that is how you can implement your strategy in your proprietary, and then you can use that as a you can encapsulate it as a firm. And as a S corp or LLC, there are so many options out there, but that is something which you should look out for once you reach this stage. So that conclude our portfolio maintenance and almost all of our investing steps. The idea here is it can be done. That's the idea. I am 100% sure there should be at least maybe 20% of the thing you have not followed, maybe 60% of the thing you have not followed. But if you can understand just plain English, then please understand this, that this can be done. It is feasible. The knowledge is out there. You have to work hard to gain that knowledge. And there is no shortcut. Again, no shortcut at all. No master strategy. You can't do anything to be millionaire in 1 month or 1 year or 5 years. But yes, in 20 years, it is so easy, it is so mechanical, it is so there is almost no subjectivity there if you follow all the steps clearly. So that is my main message. Please go ahead and apply it on your persona, on your portfolio, and see what steps you can implement and how it will be useful for your financial journey. Thank you.